None of their key actions have been approved. Michael Doherty from the Micah Action Group says the lack of flexibility from the government is extremely disappointing.
I think the disappointing part is that there's things in there that cost the Exchequer not 1 cent extra, but provides a homeowner with a way forward. For example, penalty-free downsizing. Say you needed 200,000 and the grant is 160,000, you're 40,000 short. So what we said was, at least give us the money you were going to give us, 160,000, and let us build a smaller house. That's not been facilitated either. So there's been a complete intransigence on the part of the government.
The government has been warned that the rent reduction bill would have a huge impact on people in Donegal. In support of a bill calling for a rent reduction and a national rent authority, Donegal Deputy Thomas Pringle told the Dáil that people are struggling to get by and keep up with the continuous spiralling costs. He believes rents should be income-based and called for the voices of renters to be prioritised over developers.
We cannot go on allowing for rent to take up most of a person's income. It isn't acceptable and it certainly isn't sustainable. Government TDs need to remind themselves who they are here to represent, citizens, not vulture funds. They need to start listening to their constituents who are crying out for help, and it is time for their voices to be prioritised.
Companies in Donegal are being encouraged to avail of a new €85 million scheme aimed at increasing the use of digital technology to improve online business. As part of the National Grow Digital campaign, the €85 million Digital Transition Fund is now in place to help companies use digital technologies like AI, cloud computing and big data to improve their company. Minister of State for Trade, Promotion, Digital and Company Regulation, Robert Troy, is in Sligo today. He is encouraging businesses in Donegal and the Northwest to get involved in the project.
Part of the workshops will be a panel of businesses who have already embraced technology and digitalisation and will be able to tell of their increased efficiency, increased productivity and how they have become a more resilient business. Businesses who fail to make this transition are going to be left behind, and we don't want to see that happen. As well, today I will be announcing funding under the Regional Enterprise Plan. Inishowen Development Partnership have been successful with 2 of their applications.
To weather now, sunny spells and isolated showers this morning, becoming cloudier this afternoon. Highest temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees. That's all for now. We'll be back with news again at 10 o'clock. Until then, good morning.
This summer, Disney Plus brings you unbelievable entertainment for an unbelievable price. Return to the Star Wars galaxy in the epic original series Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I'm in.
Meet a new hero in Marvel Studios' original series Ms. Marvel.
What does it feel like?
Cosmic.
And look for clues in a new season of Only Murders in the Building.
We will not be going quietly.
Disney Plus. All these plus more now streaming for just $8.99 a month. 18 plus subscription required. T's and C's apply.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
And a very good morning to you on this bright and breezy Thursday morning. It's the 14th of July. It's the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Donal Kavanagh with you for the next 3 hours. Over the course of the programme, we have many interesting and varied guests to speak to, many interesting and varied stories to bring to you. But most importantly, we want to hear your views, we want to hear your perspectives, and we want to hear what you regard to be the important issues of the day. To give us your perspectives, you can text us on 086 60 25,000. That number goes for WhatsApp messages as well. You can call us, of course, 074 91 25,000. Caroline and Donna Marie are taking your calls this morning. You can use social media. We're at Highland Radio on Twitter. We're Highland Hub on Facebook. And don't forget, by the way, you can watch the show on Facebook live on the Highland Radio and Highland Radio News and Sport pages on Facebook. And you can see the Zoom interviews live as they unfold. That's also available to watch later on today as a playback on our Facebook pages, also available on our YouTube channel, Highland Radio Ireland. You can, of course, email us. It's comments@highlandradio.com. And if you prefer, you can write. It's 9 till noon show, Highland Radio, Pine Hill, Mountain Top, Letterkenny, in the wonderful county of Donegal. Starting with the papers this morning and the Tyrconnell Tribune, and a very positive story at the top of the Tyrconnell Tribune this morning. LUH Cath Lab operational. The permanent cardiac cath lab at Letterkenny University Hospital has been operational since Monday, July 4th, and it's reported to be a huge benefit for patients and on-site diagnosis. And we had a conversation about this whole issue on the programme yesterday after Mark McSharry was given certain guarantees with regards to services in Sligo in return for his vote in this week's confidence motion. So we're told by John and the team at the Tyrconnell Tribune that the cath lab in Letterkenny is now operational, and that's very good news indeed. Main story on the Tribune this morning: 55 seconds of chaos at council meeting. And you'll have heard the stories over our own coverage, obviously, on Monday, and also the comprehensive coverage on social media in the intervening days and on other local media outlets as well, that Councillor Gary Doherty had his mobile telephone taken from him forcibly, he claims, at a meeting of Donegal County Council to discuss the purchase of 5 houses at Ancranla in Buncrana. And the Tyrconnell Tribune says the special meeting of Donegal County Council on Monday was adjourned as proceedings descended into chaos, disbelief, a disappearing phone, and calls to ring the Gardaí. In his first full meeting of the council as Cathaoirleach, Liam Blaney said, "I am determined this council is not going to turn into a circus." And that's the Tyrconnell Tribune's coverage of that particular story. Donegal News this morning, the main story: 2 friends in horror crash. The women were on their way to see Westlife in the Aviva Stadium when the collision happened. Conor Sharkey writes, what was to have been a fun day at a gig in Dublin almost ended in tragedy. The crash happened on the A5 between Sign Mills and Newton Stewart. A silver car collided with the Ford Kuga that the 2 Donegal women were travelling in. The silver car had been hit from behind by a third vehicle, which pushed it directly into the path of Siobhan Gibbons, who was driving along with Ciara McVeigh Lunn, and they were on their way to the gig in Dublin. Thankfully, both are okay, but that could have been a very different story indeed. Front of the Donegal Democrat this morning: exclusive, Ukrainian refugees speak about living in Ireland's most remote location. The headline: Tory Island is our new home. 2 families who fled from war-torn Ukraine have started a new life on the most remotely inhabited island off the Irish coast. 14 are living in the former hotel overlooking the wild Atlantic on Tory Island. They're the guests of Deirdre Nick Swifna, and that full story is on the Democrat. The other stories on the front page: Amara saves man's life at training. Narossa's GAA club has expressed gratitude to local doctor Amara Boner and those who assisted her in saving the life of a clubman on Tuesday evening. More than 50 COVID cases at LUH, and 4 young Irish students who tragically lost their lives on Mulladerg Beach 50 years ago were remembered during a commemorative ceremony this week. And that story on the inside of the Donegal Democrat this morning. Finn Valley Voice is out, of course, as well. Have your say on Twin Towns CCTV cameras. And this is a story we have run on news. And indeed, Greg had Councillor Patrick McGowan on the programme earlier this week as well. A public consultation. It's coming to an end. And this evening at the Base Enterprise Centre in Stranraer from 4 to 6 p.m. you have an opportunity to speak to officials of Donegal County Council, get a viewing of the plans and make your view known. There are 6 preferred, as it were, locations, but they are there at this point in time as suggestions, and you can give your views on those locations or alternative locations you perhaps believe should be there in their stead. Also on the front page of the Finn Valley Voice, council meeting adjourned 4 times, and a picture of Hannah Mulcahy from Castlefinn, who represent Donegal in the Miss Ireland competition. And indeed, you'll see a comprehensive profile of Hannah on our own social media pages as well. That went up during the week. Moving to the Nationals and the Irish Independent, an important High Court ruling: farmers cannot be forced to sell land in debt cases. A landmark High Court ruling against Vulture Fund offers landowners a lifeline against insolvency. Shane Phelan writes that farmers will be able to avoid the forced sale of land to clear debts following this ruling. The landmark decision will increase pressure on banks and Vulture Funds to cut restructuring deals with indebted farmers. The court found a farmer with debts of 1.1 million could be considered insolvent and therefore eligible to avail of a personal insolvency arrangement. Also, a very frightening photograph on the front of the Irish Independent. A homeowner gestures toward the forest fire about to engulf his home in a northern Portuguese town. Albergaria Avela is the town in question. Huge wildfires as parts of the country hit temperatures exceeding 40 degrees Celsius, and a man standing there pointing at this blaze in a forest, knowing that his house is about to be engulfed, and sadly it seems there is nothing he can do about it. All we can say is at least he is safe. Another story, and it's an interesting one. Fianna Fáil ministers went economy class as Greens flew business. Philip Ryan writes that Fianna Fáil ministers flew economy while Green Party Deputy Leader Catherine Martin travelled in business class to attend the same conference in Dubai, it's emerged. Health Minister Stephen Donnelly and Agriculture and Fisheries Minister Charlie McConalogue travelled to the Dubai Expo in economy class earlier this year. Ms Martin and 3 staff ran up a €21,033 bill on long-haul flights to the same expo. The Green Party leader, Mr Eamon Ryan, said ministers should not be climate shamed for taking business class flights. Now, I know if you're talking about the flight, whether you're in business class or whether you're in economy, is not going to make a difference as to the actual carbon footprint that's involved in the flight. But it does raise questions about the spending of money. And one suspects if the Greens were in opposition, Catherine Martin would not be wholeheartedly supporting ministers travelling business class. I cannot say that for certain, but I certainly suspect it. Irish Times this morning, support for coalition slumps as cost of living pressures mount. And as we've seen in so many polls in recent times, the trend is Sinn Féin up, the government parties down. Sinn Féin at 36%, up 3. Fine Gael at 18%, down 4. Fianna Fáil at 20%, down 3. That's the lowest figure I've seen for Fine Gael in quite some time, actually. And, Fianna Fáil now in the 20s. And it's a while since Fianna Fáil was ahead of Fine Gael. Fine Gael spent many years since 2008 ahead of Fianna Fáil. So Fianna Fáil now slightly ahead of Fine Gael. Fine Gael down 4, Fianna Fáil down 3, Sinn Féin up 3. Mary Lou MacDonald, an approval rating of 43%, that's up 1. Leo Varadkar 36%, that's down 12. Micheál Martin 40%, down 11. Eamon Ryan 15%, and he is down 4. No surprises perhaps, but it does point to a very clear trend that's been emerging, where now it's Sinn Féin hitting figures in the mid-30s and Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael combined hitting figures in the mid to late 30s. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael combined 2% ahead of Sinn Féin in this poll, but there's obviously a plus or minus 3% error margin, and we have seen a few polls where Sinn Féin have just been marginally ahead of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael. Independents and others, by the way, 20%, and that's up 5. Interesting poll indeed. Also, emergency fuel plan prioritises essential staff. Jennifer Bray writes that more than 40 categories of emergency and essential workers will be given access to a network of 130 service stations across the country in the event of a severe shortage requiring fuel rationing under the latest government plan. The plan is considered to be the worst case scenario and would come into effect in the event of severe oil supply disruption. Now, when you ask the government about this, what they will say to you is, we do not envisage this plan ever being implemented, but we have to plan for the worst case scenario, and that is the case. So they're not saying that's what's going to happen. They're saying if everything goes pear-shaped and the whole thing goes down the Swanee, this is the plan that the government have in reserve. Irish Daily Mail this morning, no more room for Ukraine refugees. Plan for tent cities as arrivals sleep rough. Ukrainian refugees were last night sleeping on chairs in Dublin Airport as the state ran out of accommodation. The government confirmed last night that the City West facility in West Dublin is now at full capacity, and arrivals overnight will remain in Dublin Airport as they do not have an alternative source of accommodation. Now, we've also had a commitment from the Higher Education Minister Simon Harris this week that any refugees who are in government-sponsored and public third-level college accommodations will be moved out of those accommodations and rehoused in order for those accommodations to be made available for students. So obviously that's going to factor into this whole thing as well. So a very tense few weeks ahead, it would seem, for those whose responsibility it is to oversee the housing of incoming Ukrainian refugees. An interesting story. John Moore writes, Inside, we eat at Clarkson's all-beef restaurant. This is I I haven't read the article, but I presume this is linked with the Diddley Squat Farm that Jeremy Clarkson runs and has done TV programmes about. He was talking about putting a restaurant there. So, that's on the inside of the Mail, if that's what floats your boat. And creches threaten flash strikes is the other story there. Let's look at the red tops. Irish Daily Mirror. Comic Al, I'm back and I want to make people laugh again. Al Porter tells of his plans. There's more on this in other papers. We'll get to that in a moment. Main story on your bike. Ciara Phelan writes the Russian ambassador could be left without his chauffeur-driven official BMW due to sanctions over Ukraine. A dealership here has told the embassy it needs clarification before it will lease new vehicles for Yuri Filatov. Russian officials insist the swanky motor is exempt from sanctions as it is for diplomatic use, but Frank Keane BMW say they're seeking advice and they're in a position where they need to be compliant. Irish Sun this morning, the main story, Comic Al, my 2 years in sex pest hell. Comic Al Porter has broken his silence over sexual assault allegations against him as he vowed to return to the limelight. The Dublin Star told how he spent 2 years in limbo before all charges against him were dropped in 2019. The 29-year-old has vowed to get his comedy career back on track. In a statement, he said, I wouldn't wish those 2 years on anyone. I just want to make people laugh again. And also dad's grief for son 13. The dad of a 13-year-old boy who died in a swimming pool accident, and losing him is a parent's worst nightmare. Bradley Lulendo got into trouble off Borough Beach in Dublin on Monday. His heartbroken dad said Bradley was a brilliant son. Irish Daily Star this morning, charged with Lisa's murder. 37-year-old Brian McHugh has been remanded in custody after being charged with the murder of Lisa Thompson, who was found dead in Dublin in May. Also, dad of swim tragedy boy 14 says, I miss him so much. And finally, it's a Thursday, which means it's the day for the Irish Farmers Journal. Farmer revolt sweeps across EU. Amy Ford writes, thousands of farmers across Europe are taking to the streets in protest against soaring input costs and climate measures being imposed by government. Dutch farmers are into their second week of protest, with thousands expected to participate in a national strike this Friday. Anger is spreading in Germany, Italy and Poland, where farmers have also been staging demonstrations, and indeed there are pictures of farmers taking part in a motorway blockade near Eindhoven in the Netherlands to protest against government plans. That's the front of the Irish Farmers Journal. And don't forget, by the way, as it is a Thursday, Farming News and Views with Chris Ashmore will be on air this evening. That's directly after the main evening news in or around about 5:20 or thereabouts. We're going to take a short break. Back in a moment with our first guest.
The newspapers are courtesy of Kelly Centra, Mountain Top, Letterkenny.
Driving a Fiat 500e is choosing an all-new, all-electric car with an impressive range and not to 80% fast charging in 30 minutes. It's choosing a car that's so full of tech it will confidently and safely drive you into the next decade. It's choosing to believe in a better tomorrow. Welcome back, future. Fiat 500e prices start at €24,995 after government subsidies. Book a test drive at Joseph Doherty Limited, Moville, or visit fiat.ie.
This is a notice for all tractor and agri-plant owners. Minimise your downtime when you need tyres and call Donegal Tyres, Donegal Town. We can go to you and fit your tyres on site or repair your existing tyres if you have a puncture. Don't waste time and leave the hassle to us. So call Donegal Tyres now on 074 9721 482 to organise your call out.
Experience everything this summer has to offer here at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, with a wide range of shops and services packed with great choice and value for you to explore. You can enjoy free parking, Wi-Fi and take a break with our popular outdoor seating area. Letterkenny Shopping Centre. We can't wait to see you.
At Cooney's Home Interiors, we pride ourselves on offering you the very best in choice, quality and value on all home furnishings. Treat your home with a visit to Cooney's today and choose from our large range of suites, tables, beds, not to mention our large selection of home accessories. Our motto is, if you see it, you can buy it, and we will deliver it to your door. Cooney's Home Interiors, Letterkenny Retail Park. style and perfection at incredible value.
Summer garden clearance at Homeland. Shop our amazing offers while stocks last. Outback Tango 4-burner gas barbecue, $399, save €200. Caddis Bistro set, $149, save €50. Dolomitry garden chairs, half price, only $14.99 each. Shop our full range of offers in store and online at homeland.ie while stocks last.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
Accommodation, obviously a major story right across the news at the moment. The Ukrainian story front and centre, obviously, this morning, but also student accommodation. Now, I did make the point earlier in the week that every year there are stories about student accommodation, and every year parents and students go through that difficult time of trying to secure accommodation in a different town, and I was there myself, and I have no wish to go back to those days. Joined on the line by David, who is in that situation at the moment. David, good morning.
How are you, Donal?
David, you're a student in Letterkenny and you have had accommodation, but as we've been hearing on news and elsewhere in the past number of days, there have been some issues and you are one of those affected. Tell us your story.
Yeah, so this has actually happened. This is the second time this actually happened to me now. So I started in LYAT when it was LYAT in 2019, and I lived in Ryder Square on the Port Road. And 2 weeks before we started the following year, we got an email saying that they couldn't provide accommodation for us, that it was sold to a third party. And we found out then a couple of weeks later that Ryder Square had actually been set up as a direct provision centre that was accommodating 60 families. Then the alternative that we were given was Walnut Grove. It was one of two alternatives, and now the same thing has happened with Walnut Grove there. During the week we got an email saying that they couldn't provide accommodation for us anymore.
And people in Letterkenny will know Walnut Grove. It's a sort of a two-storey series of apartments and flats almost directly opposite Aldi, close to what was the old field roundabout there. Yeah, that's Walnut Grove. That's where it is.
Yeah, so there's like a series, like you said, there's a series of houses and apartments. Then there's another house called Belvedere House, which is just at the back of the college, which housed a further 10 students. They also got the same email as we did.
Now, obviously, we know that Minister Simon Harris has given commitments to students who are booked into state-run and publicly owned accommodations. In this instance, these accommodations aren't state-run, they're privately owned, and that means that they're not included under any guarantee from Simon Harris.
No, so we were given two alternative options in the email that we received. One of them was a place called Grand Central Apartments, which is fully booked, and the other was Ballyrain Campus, which is the only student accommodation now. But of course, they have a massive waiting list. People have been asked to give a deposit of €300 for accommodation that they're not even guaranteed. It is a struggle because there's 4,000 students when we were LYIT, but now because we're a university, it's hard to explain why a problem that's been going on for so long hasn't been sorted when there's been so much hard work going into making it a university, adding additional programs, but like you can't expect to house all of these students when there is nowhere to put them,
And traditionally there would have been an expectation that quite a lot of privately run accommodation would be available in nearby housing estates. Ashlawn comes to mind, that would have had a tradition of housing students, but other areas as well. But the amount of actual accommodation available through the private sector this year, we're told, is severely constricted. Is that the experience you and your colleagues are having when you're now looking for accommodation?
Yeah, so there's quite a few of us, and we're all trying to help each other out, but like options are next to zero. You'd go on websites like daft.ie where there's maybe 4 options of 1-2 bedroom apartments that are quite out of the price range of students, and it's it's not just me as a student going into fourth year. It's first year students right through. People who don't have part-time jobs, people who can't really afford these type of places, which doesn't help when the options are so limited as well.
And we know, and you've alluded to this already yourself, that with the designation of the Atlantic Technological University, the Donegal campus of ATU, both in Letterkenny and in Killybegs, both have expansion plans. Both are looking at a potential significant increase in student numbers in the coming years. And if that is to be the case, it doesn't necessarily augur well when student accommodation is becoming such a serious issue as it is at the moment.
Yeah, so of course, like it's been alluded to by platforms like Donegal Daily and even the student union themselves in the college, that this is a problem that's been going on for several years. Like, it's not something that has just came out of the blue. So it is very stressful. A lot of anxiety has been caused for a lot of people. Of course, like you said, the college is continuing to grow. There's a lot of hard work going into adding additional programs. Like, the plans are there to expand, make it bigger, make it better. But then I think the people who are in position to, sort out the accommodation situation, they're just
Right. Well, sadly, we appear to be having an issue with our telephone line. I think we have lost David there. But sorry, David. Yeah, you're back. Thank you. We just lost you briefly.
Yeah. To say this is a problem that we're going to sort out, but the people who can make a difference still haven't done that. So,
Obviously, you're speaking to the Students' Union, and indeed we've spoken to the Students' Union ourselves over the course of the past number of days. They're doing what they can, but what more can be done, and what role can be played by the college authorities, by the council, by the local politicians to try and get something done? Now, obviously, if you're going to look at developing accommodation, it's not going to be done in time for the coming academic year. But even in terms of the discussion about the future development, we do need to be looking towards 2023, 2024, 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, so of course, like I said, I'm going into my final year, so it's a problem I'll only have for now, but for other students coming in and existing students, it'll be an ongoing problem. And of course, the student union, they're very passionate about their jobs. They want to see a change. But of course, like I said, it's been a problem that's been going on for several years. I did mention places like Writers Square. There's places like Walnut Grove now that are not offering the student accommodation anymore. And, there is people like local councillors and stuff like that are fully aware of things like this are happening. It's been reported on, like I said, platforms like Donegal Daily and different platforms like that. The councillors and, they are aware of this situation. They are aware of the lack of accommodation. So I think it's just leaving students like myself and the people that I'm communicating with, it's just leaving us very disappointed. And it is a little bit embarrassing for the college, of course, because like I said, there is some people putting in really hard work to develop it and make it better, but it's very hard to do that when the external people aren't on board to accommodate it.
Well, the one thing we can be sure of, David, is that conversation has now started, and thank you for your role in making sure that conversation is going to be front and centre. And we'll obviously be speaking to councillors, to politicians and to others as well to keep an eye on what's happening. In the meantime, David, we wish you well personally in your own search for accommodation, and we wish you well in your final year of studies here in Letterkenny.
Thanks very much, Donal.
David, thank you. It's been a pleasure speaking to you this morning. That's David there, just one of a number of people who have been left looking for accommodation after Walnut Grove was no longer available to them. And as David said, it's becoming more and more difficult to secure accommodation. Himself a fourth-year student, but lots of first-year students presumably are at the moment trying to find accommodation. As I say, I well remember back a couple of years ago when we were in that boat looking for accommodation in Dublin. And, it's not necessarily the easiest thing to get sorted out. Now, we have made contact with Walnut Grove and we are hoping to get a response from them. As soon as we get a response from them, obviously, we'll bring that response to you. Just want to bring you some of your comments before we go for a break. Caller says, I fully agree with Donal. It's the taxpayers' money. It's disrespectful and grandstanding by the Green Party. It's an issue and it does have to be discussed. Caller asks, will there be anyone on to counter-argue the upcoming right to housing referendum? The key thing your guest left out was the right to private property will be erased from our constitution. As the ex-MEP Cathy Sinnott once warned, every time they put a referendum to you, you expect to lose more rights. Now that is, I suspect, a reference to comments that were made by Sinead Gibney, who is the Commissioner for Human Rights. We discussed their annual report on the programme yesterday. She said there does need to be a referendum on the right to housing. I don't think a referendum on the right to housing will necessarily mean that it will give any end to the right to property. That is, I suspect, a discussion with regards to CPOs and compulsory purchase orders. I may be wrong on that. But I can absolutely assure you, caller, that in the event that there is a right to housing referendum, and at the moment there isn't an upcoming referendum, there have been suggestions that there should be, but it certainly has not as of yet been called, to the best of my knowledge. If in the event that there is a referendum, Highland Radio, I can assure you, both in terms of news and the 9 till noon show, will strive and ensure to speak to all of the parties involved. Caller says the silence about the ugly, naked sectarianism displayed at Loyalist bonfires is sickening. Even Doug Beattie of the Unionist Party has denounced it, but Micheál Martin and Leo Varadkar and Eamon Ryan have nothing to say about an effigy of Sinn Féin's Michelle O'Neill hanging from a bonfire prior to it being burned. This is what's called culture north of the border, so says a caller. We're going to take a short break. Back in a moment with more news.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union, now offering mortgages from €40,000 to €600,000 with no hidden fees or transaction charges. Letterkenny Credit Union, 9102127.
In 2018, Toyota cut through the confusion, completely ceasing production of diesel passenger cars, lowering harmful emissions and providing certainty for Irish drivers everywhere. And Kelly's Toyota are proud to be part of that hybrid electric journey. Visit Kelly's Toyota, Letterkenny or Mount Charles today to see what makes Toyota Ireland's best-selling car brand in 2021 and 2022. You'll never take a wrong turn with Toyota. Built for a better world. Best-selling claim based on most recent monthly figures.
Is the appearance of your staff important to your business? It's the first point of contact for customers when entering your premises. At C&M Embroidery in Letterkenny, they have a huge range of clothing covering all areas of the workplace. It's widely known that customers warm to and trust employees that present themselves well. Have your company name embroidered or printed on all your work uniforms. Contact C&M Embroidery on 07491 28097 and get your staff looking their best.
If you're thinking of changing some furniture, a huge sale is now on at McGinley's Furniture in Letterkenny. It's a chance to save hundreds of euros on floor model suites, beds and mattresses, dining and occasional furniture, with reductions in all departments. It's a great opportunity to grab a real bargain in the big sale now on at McGinley's Furniture on the Joe Boner Link Road, Letterkenny. See mcginleysfurniture.com.
Calling Bus Air and Expressway passengers. If you're travelling between Donegal and Dublin on Expressway's Route 30x30, we recommend booking your seat online at expressway.ie for the best travel experience. Most people are booking ahead to guarantee a seat, and you get an advance email in the event of any service disruption. All passengers can track where their coach is using Expressway's real-time passenger information. And our customer care agents are available by phone 7 days a week. Have a great trip with Expressway.
Text 086 60 25,000.
I said before the break that we'll be back with more news. That's really kind of, muscle memory kicking in. We will be back with more news, obviously, but most importantly, back with more of your views, your perspectives, and coverage of the issues that you want to hear discussed. You can text us, as we said, 086 60 25,000. That number good for WhatsApp as well, and you can call us 074 91 25,000. Now, the HSE's National Ambulance Service has launched a new nationwide campaign for additional volunteer community first responders to support the work of the emergency services in local communities. Become a ACFR.ie is a website that's just been launched. I'm joined on the line by Ger O'D from the National Ambulance Service. Ger, good morning. Good morning, Ger. Right, I don't have Ger right at this point in time, so just bear with us. We will get Ger. He is in the system, but our system is creating little mazes on us at the moment, and people are just getting temporarily lost. So we will bring Ger back to you in just a few moments' time. Just a few other things I want to talk to you. A parent has called us actually very upset. Their son is involved in a local soccer club, but is becoming quite frustrated with his coach. They asked a question on a WhatsApp group and was then the subject of terrible, what they have called abuse by the coach in the same group. They've contacted the club, but they're not getting satisfaction there. It then transpires that the coach is involved in the management of the club, and the original complainant has the child so upset they're thinking of leaving. What can they do to get someone to listen to them, they ask? It's a difficult issue and something we'll come back to. Let's go back to the lines, and hopefully we can now say good morning, Ger O'D.
Good morning, Donal.
Ger, thank you for your perseverance. Our system is playing little games with us at the moment, and it's being a little impish in its behaviour. Ger, this drive for volunteers interested in saving people's lives. I mean, we've all heard the stories about a delay in an ambulance and someone was saved because they got CPR on the ground, because someone put them into recovery position, because someone was able to use a defibrillator. And what happened was people on the ground at the time were able to pave the way to keep the patient alive, to give you and your colleagues time to get there.
Yes, Donal. I suppose it's very, very important that when someone suffers a sudden cardiac arrest, which shouldn't be confused with somebody having a heart attack. The cardiac arrest is when your heart has completely stopped pumping blood around your body. So the only thing that's going to keep that going really in the initial stages is somebody to get their hands on the chest and do CPR. And then for someone else maybe to bring a defibrillator to the scene, and if it's needed, give the patient a shock. Now, as you rightly said, sometimes there is a delay in an ambulance getting to scenes. And often than not, it's to do more with the geography of the country, that we can't get to everybody in the quickest time that we would like. And it really is the effort that is done in those initial stages by bystanders is so important. Now, we complement that by having a network of community first responder volunteers all around the country, who are trained to deal with a cardiac arrest, chest pain and stroke, as well as choking. They carry defibrillators. They're very experienced, well trained. And the idea of it is that when someone does suffer a cardiac arrest and the caller gives the address and exactly what is wrong, the Emergency Operations Centre computer will automatically dispatch the nearest community first responder. So it's completely automated. And now what it means is that ahead of an ambulance or alongside an ambulance, you have a response coming with trained people who know exactly what to do.
I'm going to bring Felix onto the line. Felix, good morning.
Good morning, Donal. Good morning.
Felix, Felix has a story to tell. It's a story I'm sure you've heard replicated up and down the country, and this is a story that will point to the importance of what's happening here. Felix, tell us what happened.
Yeah, well, on Tuesday night past our local J Club, Narossa, in Limerick Ward, was having a training session, and my brother Trevor was involved in it, and taking part in the training session. And Declan Bonner, the club chairman, the county senior team manager, happened to be taken in charge of the session. So, coming to the end of the session, myself and Jay McHugh were at our dugouts talking, and my brother arrived over to me, and he said to us, he was feeling a bit sick, but at the time we didn't pass much remarks on it. We didn't. next thing he sat down beside me for a while and he was talking, and next thing he got up to, I think I'm going down home. He said, I feel a bit sick and I might have a shower. So that was okay. He left and he headed for his car, and we were still at the pitch looking out of the training session, and Trevor, we didn't see him. He got into his car, but we didn't see him. But next thing we heard a bang, he actually reversed into tower lights that was there. So obviously when we heard the bang, we knew that something was wrong. So immediately myself and Jerry McHugh headed towards the car, and Jerry opened the door, and when we seen Trevor, we knew that there was something seriously wrong. So I started calling Declan, because I know his two daughters were doctors, to get them and get help. So he went running for the car, and obviously we went down, and Jay and lads were kind of getting around him, and I rang the ambulance. Now I must say, by the time I give the address to the ambulance service, Declan had the Dr. Amara back with him, and she was on scene very, very quickly, within 3 to 4 minutes, I would say. It was very, very quick. Now, and then at that stage, it was just a case of, Amara said he's having a heart attack, and by the time they took him out of the car, you would know he was in serious, serious trouble. He was gone at that stage. Now, I'm saying now, the gang of five of the lads, all came around, gathered very quickly, and I have to say, what Dr. Amara Bonner done, with getting the lads through the compressions, keeping the lungs going, was just amazing to watch. And it kept going and kept going. And the changing, the 30 compressions, and it was unbelievable to watch. With these guys, coming from a training session, and it's a very traumatic experience. And even the lads standing around, you see the horror in every face, and everybody wanted to do something, but what could anybody do? And actually, there's a very a few of the guys took the lads all in, and they're not in that time. They said deck of the rosary, which I thought was a very poignant thing to do at that time, because at that time things were looking very, very dim,
But the really important thing is,
the boys kept doing the CPR. Yeah.
I was just saying, the really important thing is that there was someone there who knew what they were doing. There was someone there who had the information that was able to say, you do this, you do that, you do the other. And it was, and as it happens, it was Dr. Amara Bonner, but it could have been a community first responder as well. And from that point of view, that someone knows what they're doing and someone is able to take control of the situation is literally the difference between life and death.
Oh, listen, that was just unbelievable. Even the retired Dr. Bonner arrived and seen after the emergency ambulances. I have to say, I think around 15 minutes, I think they might have been there. There were 3 ambulances there. Just by pure coincidence, the air ambulance was doing a training exercise in Sligo. So everything actually worked in Trevor's favour. Everything was there. There was nothing. There was absolutely nothing left to waste. And the time was really, really important. But that's where the work that was done by everybody and the services is just amazing. And the importance of every club and every community having people been there doing this is just unbelievable. It's vitally, vitally important, because I would never, ever have thought that you'd ever witness that. Never, never in a million years. But just to everybody that was involved in it, the family can never, ever... You never ever thanked them, Trevor had a massive heart attack.
And the good news we can report, and the good news we can report is that ultimately Trevor was airlifted onto Altnagovan. He received a stent and is recovering well now.
Yeah. Trevor's recovering well in Letterkenny's hospital this morning. He had a good night this night, and thank God. It was absolutely amazing.
And indeed, I think we alluded to that in our paper review, because that story is carried in the Donegal News today as well. And to be honest, it was only as you were telling the story I realised it was the story from the Donegal News that we had referenced in our paper review earlier. Ger, I'm going to go back to you, because we've heard Felix's story, and Ger O'D, this, as we said, this really, really points to the fact that if someone is on scene who knows what they're doing, it means very often somebody survives.
Yeah, Donal, exactly. I mean, we would prefer that people would know what to do already, so they're prepared in that they have a CPR course done. However, when someone rings 999 and it's identified that somebody's in a cardiac arrest, our ambulance call takers will actually talk you through exactly what to do. And while they're on the line to you doing that, there's somebody on the other side of the room who is dispatching resources. So the community first responders will receive an automatic text. We generally send possibly 2 ambulances or an ambulance and a rapid response. And then, as Felix said, it could be the air ambulance as well. So it's all about speed. But we can send all of that to a patient with all of the most advanced life-saving skills and training and equipment. But unless somebody is doing CPR when we get there and hopefully has a defib, we're really on the back foot from the outset, because we just can't possibly get to everybody in the time that we would like to. So thankfully, in this case, it's certainly, people did CPR and the response was quick, and you had a doctor on scene. And that's what it's all about. And what we're seeing an awful lot lately up and down the country is that this quick response means that people are going home to their families. And we released a video yesterday on a website, becomeacfr.ie, and the video is embedded into that website, and it shows exactly what community first responders do. And it also tells a little story at the very end. It's only a 2-minute clip of Emma, who is a survivor of cardiac arrest from Dunboyne in County Meath, where she collapsed while feeding her baby, and her husband, who had absolutely no training, did do CPR, and then the responses started coming to the house. And thankfully, Emma was here to tell the story yesterday at the official launch of the video. And, I suppose if I was to put it all into one big perspective, there is nothing more gratifying for us as an ambulance service or for community volunteers than shaking the hand of somebody who you've saved. There is no other feeling, that can match that, and that's why we are reaching out now to the public, and we're hoping that people will come across and visit becomeacfr.ie and look at either joining a community first responder group in their area, if there is one there, or setting up a new one, because it really is at the heart of the community is where lives are being saved ahead of the ambulance getting there.
And obviously,
that's...
And obviously aligned with this as well, we have the ongoing campaign to increase the number of defibrillators in community settings and in businesses across the country, and more we're seeing community defibs available right across the country. You'd like to see that increased even more?
Absolutely, Donal. So we're currently working on a national AED register. Now that again will bring a website with it where people will be able to go on and register defib. It's in the advanced stages of development now. We hope to have it up and running by the end of the year. But from information we've received over the last couple of years, there's approximately 15,000 defibrillators after being sold in Ireland, let's say in the last 5 years. Now some of those are privately owned and owned by clubs and everything. We don't know where they are. And we only have about 2,500 registered on our system. So we are aiming now to really get people to look at their defibrillators. Don't just wait until something happens. If there's a defibrillator in your community, you should be looking at it. There is no problem with opening the box if there's not a code on it. I'm sure that there's generally a phone number. And just look at it. Know where it is, because when something like this happens, that is the difference between life and death. So CPR and the defibrillator. And again, there are many people now going home to their families. And to quote Emma yesterday, she said that, CPR and the defibrillator now means that her 2 young boys have a mom, her husband has a wife, and her family have a daughter and a sister, and that her husband is her hero because he is the one that was untrained, was talked through what to do over the phone, and he kept Emma's heart beating by doing CPR, and by doing that it meant that there was blood being pumped around the body to the vital organs, and it just meant that Emma, when she recovered, came out of hospital, unaffected by any issue with blood to the organs. So it just meant that she is fully, 100% going home to her family. And that's all we can ask for, is that people will, attempt CPR. It's better to do it for someone who doesn't need it. I can tell you they won't be long telling you to get off their chest if you start doing CPR. Than it is, to not do it for someone who does need it. And if we can get those messages out there, that anybody can do it, anybody can use a defibrillator, because the defibrillator, once you turn it on, it will tell you what to do.
Yeah.
And you have the backup then of the ambulance service over the phone as well, telling you what to do. And Ireland is getting better. We have an 84% rate now of people, bystanders, be it family, friends, or complete strangers, who do CPR in the event of a cardiac arrest. And that's phenomenal. But where we do have just a slight shortfalling is that the defibrillator. We need to get more defibrillators on chests, nice and quick. And just finally to say that 70% of cardiac arrests will happen in the home. So it'll be somebody that loved one, friend, or, it could be somebody just that you know. So it's so important that people are just a little bit prepared and, look for CPR classes and know where their local defibrillators are.
Gerard D from the National Ambulance Service, thank you very much indeed. Felix, I want to go back to you, give you the final word on this. Gerard just said most cases are people you know. In this case, it was your brother, and your actions, Ger McHugh's actions, Declan Boner's actions, and Mara Boner's actions. So many people came together, and the upshot of what happened in the Rossa earlier this week is that your brother Trevor is alive and recovering this morning at LUH.
Yes, Donal, exactly. That's something, just as what Jerry said there. Like, it's really, really important that message goes out through the whole country, because he is right there. Because, it's vitally important. It's not just until you see what actually happened, and it's really, really important, that everybody takes on board this advice and gets in behind it. I totally agree with that, Donal.
Yeah. And we'll leave it there. Felix, thank you very much indeed for telling us your story. And obviously our thoughts are with Trevor as well. We wish him a quick recovery. And again, fair play to all involved in what happened at Narossa on Tuesday night. Felix, thank you very much indeed. This is the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. That's a good, heartwarming story to share with you this morning. It's 8 minutes actually at this stage, 10 o'clock. Going to take a short break, back in a few moments.
Beat the cost of Brexit with no customs charges. Do you need a UK address for your limited company or personal use? Spiss Hub in Derry can provide you with your own mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Spiss Hub and collect at your convenience. There's brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock, ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook at spisshubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for more details.
Sheridan Security now introducing Zero Wire Smart Alarm Systems. Zero wire, zero mess, and a real peace of mind. With a simple press of a button, your alarm can be set or unset, or download the free app and control it from your phone. Call us today on 074 912 6025 and get your alarm from €299. Stay local, stay safe, and protect what you value most with Sheridan Security Systems.
If you've got magic moments or great memories captured on your smartphone, now is a great time to have them printed at mcgee's.ie. Simply upload your favourite photos, choose your size and finish, and McGee's will take care of the rest, with the results delivered to your door. Prices are from just 12 cents, and there's also creative options available. Preserve your memories today at mcgee's.ie.
The big Salento summer sale is now on, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Shop all your favourite brands in men's, women's and kids fashion at unbeatable prices. And just in time for the holiday season, look good, feel good and save money at Salento Strabane. Don't miss it. Euro rate 85 pence and free parking at Salento.
Summer sale now on at Florid Letterkenny. Up to 30% off selected lines of engineered and laminate flooring. But hurry, the summer sale will not last forever. Call into our showroom today and avail the fantastic offers or view our stock at florid.ie. Offers only while stocks last.
The
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Well, Teresa is a first responder in North Inishowen. Teresa, good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
Teresa, you're in the Malin-Head area, and you were trying to get more people involved in the community, but you came across a slight issue.
Yeah, well, we have 5 defibrillators here in Malin-Head, and we did a lot of training as well. My friend is an instructor with myself, Martina, and we did a lot of training just long before the COVID. But that's a long time ago, and I mean, one soon forgets about it unless you're training all the time. Now, a month ago or so, I put out in the bulletins and papers and Facebook that I would go house to house and train people rather than them coming out of their own house. Now, in a safe environment, of course, we need to be careful with that, I know. But I didn't get any response at all from that now. And I just feel it's imperative that everybody knows what to do in a situation. I'm not asking them to train up or anything like that. That would be hard to do. But I would like them to at least know what to do in an urgency.
Did you offer the alternative of perhaps everyone coming together in a community hall or a public place and doing it in that way?
We did already do all of that. Well, I'm telling you, it was before the COVID. We didn't do it recently, no. But I've offered this now that I would go house to house. But I would just feel I would like people to be happy and knowing if something happened, at least they'd have an idea.
Absolutely. Now, it's somewhat coincidental because that you're speaking to me, because I've just been handed a query that has come in. It says, can you provide information for Inishowen residents to get training in CPR, cardiac arrest, first aid, etc.? I thought I heard there's training in Malin-Head. Now, I'm presuming that caller is indirectly referring to yourself.
Yeah, possibly, you know. We're just a wee bit now. Our committee, we don't have many in our committee now. People do have other things in their life and their mind, and I can understand that. But our committee is a wee bit shaky at the moment, you know.
Well, is there a Facebook? Is there a Facebook page or a way? Yeah, is there a way people can make contact with you, or a Facebook page or whatever, and perhaps get involved and perhaps help shore this up, because it's a hugely important community resource.
Yeah, that would be great, actually. Yeah, I would be on WhatsApp and Messenger and stuff like that. So, and I had my telephone number given out. So, they could get in contact with me, no problem.
So, do you want to give us a number that people can get you at, or give us a Facebook page where people can find you?
I just do WhatsApp normally. I do have a Facebook as well, but I prefer just WhatsApp and Messenger at the moment. I can give you my number,
Right. If you want to read out the number and people can take a note of it, and if anyone wants to make contact, then hopefully they can do so.
Right, okay. 086 847
Yep.
68
Yep.
45.
That's lovely. Teresa, so people can make contact with you if they wish and speak about getting training. In the meantime, of course, we were speaking earlier to Gerald D from the National Ambulance Service, and the other option that's there is for people to go on to becomeacfr.ie. That's becomeacfr.ie, and you can get some training through the National Ambulance Service and register with them as well. So there are.
I just would be sorry, Donal, for passing over there. I would just be doing the training now. I wouldn't be issuing certificates or anything that.
Absolutely not. But that's.
I know what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, look, Teresa, thanks very much
indeed. But just in case people have that thought in their head.
Yeah. No, but I mean, what you're offering to do is show people how to use defibrillators and give people some important advice, and it's really important that advice is offered. Teresa, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us.
You're welcome, and thank you for having me on.
It's our pleasure, Teresa. We're going to take a short break. Emma's up next with the news.
Give your
Thank you.
vegetables the
Bye-bye.
best start possible with Veggie Mix from Gortley Sales and Hire. Veggie Mix is weed-free for 3 years and is perfect in a raised bed, polytunnel or to improve your soil. Veggie Mix at Gortley Sales and Hire, Letterkenny.
The award-winning Genesis Aesthetics and Skincare Clinic Udor now offers a wide range of skin boosters. The injectable moisturiser for under eyes that improves dark circles, fine lines and wrinkles. Also treating the face, neck, chest and hands. This amazing treatment works from the inside out, resulting in brighter, smoother, plumper skin. For help choosing the right aesthetic treatment for you, contact Mary Ferry, your aesthetic practitioner. You can download the Genesis app or call 07495 32575.
Inishowen Credit Union has recently launched Cultivate, an agricultural loan at only 6.55%, APR 6.75%. Call any of their 4 offices for more information or to make an appointment. Inishowen Credit Union, Buncrana, Carndona, Moville and Muff, supporting local farmers. Inishowen Credit Union is regulated by the Central Bank of Ireland.
Are you frequently asking others to speak slowly, clearly and loudly? Is listening to the TV or radio becoming harder? If your hearing is affecting your everyday life, Connect Hearing are here to help. Our clinics in Letterkenny and Dunloe are open Monday to Friday, where you can avail of our hearing test, wax removal and repair services. Take that first step to better hearing. Call us today on 07491 13296. Connect Hearing, connecting you to life.
Leisureland Redcastle, open every day from 12 to 6. Fantastic for family day trips. Excellent value for birthday party packages. For a wonderful family experience this weekend, check out leisurelandredcastle.ie.
The Easy Living Furniture Summer Sale is on, with up to 50% off all mattresses, with 0% interest-free finance and terms up to 4 years available. Now is the perfect time to gift yourself a better night's sleep. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park Derry and Sligo Retail Park Sligo.
Gonna be a great day. Ain't nothing gonna stand in my way.
Live, on air, online and on the Highland Radio app. This is Highland Radio News.
Good morning, it's 10 o'clock. I'm Emma Ryan. A student who has had his accommodation cancelled twice during his time studying in Letterkenny says there is a major accommodation problem which has been going on for far too long. David, a final year student, had secured private accommodation for the upcoming college year, but it has been cancelled and the alternative options are already fully booked or have long waiting lists. Speaking on today's 9 to Noon show, David said student accommodation options for students in Letterkenny are zero.
In 2019, and I lived in Ryder Square on the Port Road, and 2 weeks before we started the following year, we got an email saying that they couldn't provide accommodation for us, that it was sold to a third party, and we found out then a couple of weeks later that Ryder Square had actually been set up as a direct provision centre that was accommodating 60 families. Then the alternative that we were given was Walnut Grove. It was one of 2 alternatives, and now the same thing has happened with Walnut Grove there.
Meanwhile, the state has ran out of beds to house incoming refugees. The accommodation centre in City West in Dublin has reached full capacity with 1,000 people currently living there. It means some of the new arrivals could be stranded at Dublin Airport in the coming days with no alternative plan in place. Government ministers will meet today to find solutions to the problems, with Gormanstown Army Camp in County Meath likely to be used to house those fleeing the war. Labour spokesperson Rebecca Monaghan says each department must work together to find beds.
Not all government departments are really pulling their weight when it comes to this. I think the OPW has a huge role to play in the amount of land and buildings that they own, and I think the Department of Justice, with an awful lot of closed down Garda stations, for example, around the country, also need to play their part in doing this.
Campaigners say the lack of time being given to the Oireachtas to consider defective building block legislation is a total farce. It comes as the government's bill goes to the final stage in the Shannon today and is expected to be passed ahead of the summer recess. Affected homeowners have tabled 80 amendments, but say none of their key actions have been approved. Michael Doherty from the Micah Action Group says the lack of flexibility from the government is extremely disappointing.
I think the disappointing part is that there's things in there that cost the Exchequer not 1 cent extra, but provides a homeowner with a way forward. For example, penalty-free downsizing. Say you needed 200,000 and the grant is 160,000, you're 40,000 short. So what we said was, at least give us the money you were going to give us, 160,000, and let us build a smaller house. That's not been facilitated either. So there's been a complete intransigence on the part of the government.
Companies in Donegal are being encouraged to avail of a new €85 million scheme aimed at increasing the use of digital technology in their business. As part of the National Grow Digital campaign, the €85 million Digital Transition Fund is now in place to help companies use new digital technologies to improve their products, processes, supply chains and services. Minister of State for Trade, Promotion, Digital and Company Regulation, Robert Troy, is in Sligo today for a Grow Digital workshop. He has announced that 2 Inishowen Development Partnerships projects have been successful in being rewarding funding.
Part of the workshops will be a panel of businesses who have already embraced technology and digitalisation and will be able to tell of their increased efficiency, increased productivity and how they have become a more resilient business. Businesses who fail to make this transition are going to be left behind, and we don't want to see that happen. As well, today I will be announcing funding under the Regional Enterprise Plan. Inishowen Development Partnerships have been successful with 2 of their applications.
Weather forecasters say the latest charts this morning still show temperatures potentially exceeding 30 degrees from Sunday. Met Éireann's issued a high temperature advisory and says it could trigger a high temperature warning over the weekend and in the early days of next week. Nighttime is expected to be uncomfortably warm. Cathal Nolan from Ireland's Weather Channel has been looking at the most up-to-date charts.
So the latest charts at the moment, I suppose, show this particular, weather phenomenon, weather events developing over the course of the weekend and the early days of next week. We do draw in a plume of particularly hot air from the continent as we go through Saturday, Sunday, and then into Monday and Tuesday in particular. Probably the highest temperatures are likely to come between Sunday and Tuesday, and at that stage we could see temperatures exceeding the 30-degree barrier.
To today's weather now, sunny spells and isolated showers this morning, becoming cloudier this afternoon, highest temperatures of 16 to 18 degrees. That's all the news for now. We'll be back again at 11 o'clock. Until then, good morning. Obituary notices for Thursday morning, July 14th. The death has taken place of Sarah Sadie McLaughlin, née Macaulay, 25, Shantallow Avenue, formerly of Lena Moore, Muff, County Donegal. Funeral leaving her home tomorrow morning at 10:20 a.m. to St Patrick's Church, Pennyburn, for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m. Interment afterwards in the city cemetery. Family time from 10:30 p.m. to 10 a.m. The death has taken place of Annie Boyce Owen Tulla Carrygart. Remains are reposing at her late residence. Funeral from there tomorrow morning, going to the Church of St John the Baptist for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only please, donations in lieu if desired to palliative care of any family member. The death has taken place of Dave Winter, Drumnacross, Kilrain, and formerly of Forest of Dean, Gloucestershire. Funeral from Shuvlin's Funeral Home, Sandfield, Ardra, this afternoon at 12:30 p.m. to Lakeland Crematorium, County Cavan, for cremation service at 3:30 p.m. The death has taken place of Mary Doherty, 168 Donegal Road, Ballybuffet, County Donegal, and formerly of Glenfin. Mary's remains are reposing at her residence. Removal at 12:30 p.m. this afternoon for Requiem Mass at the Church of Mary Immaculate Stranorder at 1 p.m. with interment afterwards to Kilta Vogie Cemetery, Glenfin. The Requiem Mass will be streamed live via the parish webcam. Family time before the funeral. The death has occurred of Michael McLaughlin, Mickey Heifer, Maharabeg, Burnfoot. His remains will be reposing at his home from 11 a.m. this morning. Family time, please, from 11 p.m. to 11 a.m. Removal from his home on Saturday morning at 10 a.m. to St Mura's Church, Vaughan, for Requiem Mass at 11 a.m, followed by interment in the adjoining cemetery. Family flowers only, please. Requiem Mass can be viewed on churchservices.tv. For more details, including any family health guidelines for wakes and funerals, please go to highlandradio.com.
Attention all staff. Clean up on aisle 4, please. That's a clean up on aisle 4. And Jacob, who's popped in for a pint of milk, has diabetes.
We don't always know who's at risk from COVID-19 and other viruses, but we do know how to protect them. Keep hands clean and wear a mask. Let fresh air in, get vaccinated and stay at home if you are unwell. From the HSE, for us all.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features, delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
It's the second hour of the 9 till noon show this morning. And we have had a note in to say the Civil Defence will be running free certified CPR and defibrillator training in Carndonagh starting in early September on a date to be confirmed. Details will be issued on the Donegal Civil Defence Facebook page in the next coming weeks. So if you're interested in availing of first aid training in the Northern Inishowen area, then there will be free training from the Civil Defence in CPR and defibrillator use in early September. Caller says, I'm having TSB issues this morning with transactions. Anyone else experiencing this? Another caller says, I am... Now, that we've had that one. A caller was asking a question. We were speaking yesterday about vaccinations and travel, and a caller says, do you need to have all your vaccinations to board a cruise ship? And the answer is absolutely yes. I was on a ship last month by coincidence, and yes, we had to present certificates of vaccination as part of the booking process, but also you had to present a negative test taken no more than 2 days before boarding. So we were boarding on Monday. We were in Amsterdam. We were boarding on Monday. And on Saturday morning, we actually went to a test centre in Amsterdam, and both of us did antigen tests in Amsterdam that were supervised, and we got a certificate with a barcode that we had to present in order to get on board the ship, and that test could be taken no more than 2 days before boarding. So you had to get tested before you could board, as well as presenting your vaccinations. Now, in the case of people who may have medical exemptions, in the case of people who may have certificates of recovery, and in the case of people who may have unvaccinated children, they're advised to contact the cruise lines or to contact their travel company or travel agent, and there can be a discussion. But certainly the norm is yes, you do have to be vaccinated, and yes, you do have to have a test done before you can board. Caller says, I'm thinking of availing of the solar grant and installing solar panels. I'm just wondering, have any other listeners got them installed, and are they working out to be good value? I'm concerned that they might produce just a nominal amount of electricity, especially in Donegal. Now, if you'll recall, we spoke yesterday to Micheál Hini of Ullris na Gaeltachta, and they are planning a significant solar development in West Donegal beside the business park in Gweedore. Now, what Michael said was the technology has changed totally, so that whereas in the past, yes, it required direct sunlight to make the panels work. Now it's using the sun's rays even as they penetrate through cloud. So, a cloudy day, you can still get significant benefit from the solar panels. So the technology now exists where it doesn't require direct sunlight anymore. It can extract the ultraviolet even if it's coming through cloud. So that is making a difference. Also, just want to mention a tractor and vintage car run led by a Honda 50 in association with the Balear 10K Fund. It's in aid of MS Society Donegal branch and also Cancer Care West. Money raised locally stays locally, and that's taking place on Sunday the 14th of July, which will be next Sunday week, starting and finishing at Cars of the Diamond in Balear. And you'll not leave with an empty stomach, we're told, which is good news. For more information, you can contact Tommy Doherty at 086 369 7078. So if you want to watch or participate in that tractor and vintage car run led by a Honda 50, and you'll not get a more Irish vehicle than a Honda 50, then that's taking place on Sunday week, the 24th of July. The caller says solar is economically viable in Donegal, maybe with subsidies, maybe against record oil prices. And another caller just says my daughter was going to the GP to get bloods checked. While on the phone to the receptionist, she was charged €30 to book the appointment. The GP then rang her back to book the time for the appointment, and she was then charged a further €20 to get the work done. Is this the norm everywhere? It's a question we will put out there. It's 10:15. And I'm sure many people out there are wondering, what about the bingo numbers? Well, wonder no more. They're coming. So grab your pen, grab your books. And if you are a Highland Radio NCBI Radio Bingo player, it's time to hand you over to Kevin.
It's time for NCBI Bingo on Highland Radio.
It's Thursday, the 14th of July, Jackpot Day. Today's jackpot is €8,600. Today's jackpot number is 75. You're playing on a pink coloured sheet. The reference number is S19. It's game number 28. The numbers are 63, 86, 27, 23, 30. The number 7, 57, the number 6, 54, and 88. Phone your claim to 9104833 before 8 p.m. tonight, leaving your name, contact number, and the name of the shop where you purchased your book. Get all your NCBI Radio Bingo information at highlandradio.com.
Looking for the summer sporty look from the best brands like Nike, Adidas and Under Armour? Brian McCormick Sports and Leisure has your summer look. Nike Pro Tees and vest tops with matching shorts. Nike mid-layer quarter zips with women's tights in many different lengths. Under Armour t-shirts with matching bicycle length shorts, layered with new woven jackets and quarter zip tops. Look the part, play the part. In-store or online. Click and collect on bmcsports.ie.
BizPrint make printing easy and affordable with quality colour printing to suit all businesses and budgets, from business cards to signage and everything in between. Call BizPrint, Port Road, Letterkenny on 9177 955 or visit bizprint.ie.
This summer, make some magical memories with family and friends at the Northwest's biggest adventure water park and inflatable assault course at the Shorefront Maville with Inish Adventures. There's a whole world of fun waiting for you this summer. Kayaking, paddleboarding, banana boating, storm rides, sailing. Perfect for birthday parties, hen or stag parties, or a great family day out. Plus a cafe on site. For more details, call Inish Adventures Mobile or online at inishadventures.com.
The Easy Living Furniture Summer Sale is on, with up to 50% off all mattresses, with 0% interest-free finance and terms up to 4 years available. Now is the perfect time to gift yourself a better night's sleep. Visit Easy Living Furniture, Crescent Link Retail Park Derry and Sligo Retail Park Sligo.
Gonna be a great day. Ain't nothing gonna stand in my way.
Summer garden clearance at Homeland. Shop our amazing offers while stocks last. Daffodil garden bench, only €99, save €30. Venice Mosaic Bistro set or bench, €149, save €50. Shop our full range of offers in store and online at homeland.ie while stocks last.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Welcome back to the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio. Did you know that Letterkenny has a cricket team? Many people don't actually know that there is a cricket team in Letterkenny, and the team has been recognised for its achievements by the Mayor of Letterkenny, Donal Kelly. The team's won 2 out of 3 championships this year, and they train in Limavady, and they're hoping perhaps to get some training facilities closer to home. Delighted to be joined in studio by Deepak Swain, who's the team captain, and Rosik Riaz, who is the vice captain. Deepak and Rosik, you're both very welcome indeed.
Thank you.
I want to go to you first, Deepak, as the captain of the team. Talk to me about getting the team together and what was involved in getting the Letterkenny Cricket Club started.
Oh, well, yeah. Thanks for giving us this opportunity to speak. We started this club. There was an intention behind to promote cricket in Letterkenny. So we started this club in 2006. So we started with the tennis ball, the softball cricket, and we are utilizing St. Eunan's school ground for the tournament. Then we started thinking of how we can promote it to the next level. Then we thought of having the level cricket. Then we formally built the team. It started around 2016. Then by 2018 we formed our own team. Then we started playing the local games. Then it took a bit of challenge, right, for us to gather the players. Leather ball is like a difficult game, like for few of the people.
Yeah.
But we managed to get the committee, the chairman, the committee members, they put up really hard effort, right, to get the team built. And we got some support from St. Johnson Cricket Club, that we use their cricket ground and the nets for the practice and all.
And Rosik, you're now in a situation where you're travelling to Limavady for training, and it can't be easy, to be making that. It's a journey, an hour either way. So obviously you'd be hoping to find something closer.
Yeah, exactly. So first of all, thank you for inviting us. Regarding that point, I would say, we have to travel almost more than an hour to get our home games. So that's quite a problem. Secondly, regarding this, it's a problem, like we identify good players in schools. We visited their summer camps for their sports week, and we've spotted those players. So asking those players to travel, that's kind of a problem. Like if we have something nearby, we can always ask them that you are a good player, you can play, and you should come and play with us. So that's a problem. Every time our home game, we have to travel, we have to take food, gather all the stuff and travel. So that is a problem. So we are looking for some facility so that we can enjoy our cricket. And I think that would involve. So currently we are having a group of like 35-40 players. I think that group can quite swell if we see more players and a local facility.
At the moment, Deepak, the vast majority of players are from the subcontinent, from India, from Bangladesh, from Pakistan, countries like that. When it comes to the younger children that you're training, you're getting a much wider variety, and hopefully some of those will break through to the first team.
Oh, exactly. That's what our intention is. So now we are visiting all the school and trying to promote cricket, and we can get some kind of local guys, right, who can come and join the team, and they can play real good cricket, and who knows, like somebody from the local team can play for the national team.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
And but part of the problem, and we've been speaking about going to Limavady, and yes, it is difficult to travel, it's difficult logistically to organise, but it also means people in Letterkenny and people in Donegal are not seeing cricket being played. People aren't seeing the team because even your home games are taking place in Limavady. So there is no way for people to see it, and in many cases, until people can see it, they won't fully identify with it.
Exactly. So what we are doing is, so for the kids, like what we are doing is we are having a Smash It program
for all the kids, which is supported by Cricket of Ireland and Northwest Cricket. And as we spoke, right, we don't have facilities, so we are using the Letterkenny Town Park to promote this and have the trainings over there. But hopefully we are working hard to get something around Letterkenny, so that people across Donegal, Letterkenny can come and see like the matches, right, and we can promote it in a better way.
And Russick, in terms of the team's performance, you are winning matches. You have won a number of championships. I mean, you do have a number of titles.
Yeah, so last year we participated in 3 competitions and we won 2 of them. So we had 2 trophies last year, and our aim is to play in the most superior league. And this year we have won 5 games out of 8. So we are currently spot at number 3. If we have like 5 games left, if we go and win and we come in top 2, and we are very working hard for that. So if we come in top 2, we'll achieve our goal this year. If not, we hope that we'll go on and do it next year. So our aim is by next year we would be playing the highest league cricket in Ireland. And just coming to the point of the youngsters, I think 2 of the players, one is playing for under 15 Ireland and one is playing in Northwest. So the young support is very good, and we have currently 2 teams, and we would like to add under 15 team and the women's team in coming future. So we really want the stuff to go our way so that we can have 4 full teams. Currently we have 2 teams.
It's a hugely ambitious plan, and I think what it points to is that you are taking this very seriously. It's a hobby. Obviously, you're doing it because you love cricket, but it's more than a hobby in a sense that you have a very, very definite plan. You have very, very definite and achievable ambitions.
Yeah, of course. It's a hobby, as you rightly said, and we are also trying to help the community, right? So we can get more young kids engaged with different type of sports, right? Yeah. It's not just subcontinents are more inclined towards cricket, but we are trying to promote as much as we can, to the community. That's what our goal is.
How important was it to you that that's been recognised now by the town, by the municipal district, that the mayor has brought you to the Public Services Centre, given you the civic reception and honoured the club for what it's achieved?
Yeah, it's a huge achievement for us, right? The way we started 3-4 years back, considering that we don't have the facilities. Still we don't have the facilities. We are still utilizing others' facilities. But if you see from where we started and now where we are at now, it's a big achievement for the team and for the club. So
have you identified any potential sites in Letterkenny or its environs, any particular areas that perhaps you may be able to avail of? And are there any plans as such, or is it still a goal rather than a plan?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, our chairman and the club founder, right, Ram Mohan, and the chairman Rajesh, they have been constantly following up with the local parties, right, to get a land nearby Letterkenny, and they are also trying to get in touch with the county council and the members, right, who can help us to get a field or a ground nearby.
Yeah. Rasik, I mean, if you were to look at the potential for that to happen in your own mind, and it's perhaps an unfair question, but what do you believe is the time frame that you would be able to actually get a facility within Donegal, close to Letterkenny? What's a realistic time frame?
So considering all the factors and all the planning, I would say probably next year. We are close by, like Northwest Cricket is helping us, and the local community, and it was really a big honor that we got acknowledged by the mayor, and we delivered our message to them. We put our message across, and we hope that next year we'll find a place and we'll get the right funding to do it.
And hopefully what happened this week with the reception, with the awarding, and with this and with other media coverage that's going to get, hopefully it'll put it out there more, and people will realise first and foremost that you exist,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
and working from that, they'll realise that perhaps, I mean, you know, some people have funny views of cricket. I mean, and I know some people will say it's the only game in the world where you can play for 3 days and then draw. But I mean, there are other, there's
Other format,
2020 and there's 100 and there's, I mean, and I'm sure, you know,
50
you aren't
overs, 40
playing
overs.
Test cricket. You're playing the sort of limited sort of
Sort of
overs and
format,
so on. Yeah.
Yeah, we playing T20 and we are playing 30 overs match and 40 overs match, and sometimes we are playing T10 overs. This is very exciting, right?
Yeah.
You just go and hit it. You don't have to spend the whole day on the ground. You just come and play, enjoy, and go
So
home.
T10 overs is
T10
basically
overs, yeah.
60 balls each.
Yeah, 60 balls each. You have to score as much as you can. Right?
Yeah. So there is a lot more to it than Test cricket and so on and so forth. Gentlemen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you indeed for coming into us this morning, and hopefully we will see this develop, and I look forward to following the cricket's team progress on the sports news here on Highland Radio. Now, another caller just asked, I mean, you know, someone said there are facilities closer to Donegal. There are facilities in closer to Donegal than Limavady. There's Donamana, there's Strabane, there's Derry. I mean, why have you looked into those?
They have their own home teams. And we are like outsiders. Like, we play with them. When it's their home game, we go to that ground and play. But so there is one home game and there is one away game. So when they have to play away and we have to play home, they have to come to Limavady.
Yeah. So essentially, Limavady, there isn't a team using that pitch apart from yourselves. So it's become your home pitch.
Yes,
Yeah.
So Limavady team, they are not playing since some time. So now they have formed a team, and they are now participating in Q3. We are playing in Q1 games, right? And we do have a Q3 team, right? So that gives us some kind of breath, right, to utilize their facilities, because they don't have two teams, Q1 and Q3. So we are leveraging.
But it is potentially could the day come when Limavady have a Q1 team, and then that's going to put you in
the situation. Yeah, that's what we are looking for, like have our own facilities nearby. Right,
that does make sense. Deepak and Rosik, apologies for butchering your names, and thank you very much indeed, both of you, for coming to join us. And as I say, we look forward to hearing of more success.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you so
pleasure.
much for inviting. Yeah.
The Birth Information and Tracing Act is now here. People adopted, boarded out, or the subject of an illegal birth registration can access their birth information where available from October. A contact preference register has been established to enable these people and those connected to them to register their preference in relation to future contact with relatives. This is an important issue for many, and an information booklet has been delivered to homes across Ireland. Visit birthinfo.ie to find out more.
Raymond Sweeney here from Ben Sweeney Euronics to let you know about a great tumble dryer that will save you time and energy. The Blomberg 8kg dryer has a selection of sensor programs that allows you to decide exactly how dry you'd like your laundry, and smart technologies to help you reduce your energy costs. It also comes with an amazing 7-year parts and labour warranty. Call into us and see for yourself at Ben Sweeney Euronics, Port Road, Letterkenny, or in the shopping centre, Dunlow.
The big Salento summer sale is now on, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Shop all your favourite brands in men's, women's and kids fashion at unbeatable prices, and just in time for the holiday.
A 5-year warranty and flexible payment options across the range. For more, see citroen.ie.
Citroën. The new Citroën C5 Aircross is now available at your local dealer, Highland Motors, Mountain Top, Letterkenny. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors, serving Letterkenny and the surrounding areas for over 100 years. Charlie McClafferty Funeral Directors. Let our family take care of your family and guide you through a difficult time.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
Just a caller replied back regarding your reply to my text about the upcoming referendum on housing. It's being suggested by People Before Profit, fully supported by Sinn Féin and most likely the government. It will be the 39th Amendment to our Constitution. The right to private property will be erased if the referendum is passed, but it will be sold to the public as a good thing. Here is a copy and paste from their proposed wording. The state accordingly shall delimit the right to private property where it is necessary to ensure the common good and to vindicate the said right to housing for all residents of Ireland. And that's a reply. I had said earlier that, I wasn't aware that there was a referendum called. I am aware that there is a campaign to have a referendum, and your point's well made, caller, in terms of that is indeed being suggested by People Before Profit. What I would say is there will be a long process between a motion being brought to the Dáil by People Before Profit and a referendum being presented by government, and the chances of the referendum being presented by government being the exact wording proposed by People Before Profit, I suggest, would be unlikely, and there'll be a lengthy debate about wording, and I would be very surprised if the People Before Profit wording were to become the wording in a referendum to be held shortly. That I may be wrong on that, and if I am wrong, I will hold my hand up and say so, but I think there's a lot of discussion to be done on this before it becomes a referendum, and certainly that discussion will be reflected by Greg on the 9 till noon show on Highland Radio. Of that you can be quite sure, and this issue will be fully discussed. Now, Patrick is on the line, and we were speaking a lot in recent times about tourism and visitors and the facilities available to visitors. And Patrick, you want to speak to us about public bathrooms in Inishowen.
We just tell you this. I can't get over it. I did say to the wife, we were down on the 12th down in Buncrana, which we love. I'm 84 years of age and she's come up to 82. We love going to Buncrana. We love taking our children there when we were young. And as wife would always say, get your breeze, get your breeze. She always thought that was the healthiest thing. But we went down on the 12th there. The place was packed. Buncrana was packed. The visitors was there. Must have been all Derry was down there, but on the beaches, and we were sitting there, and we were sitting looking across the Rathmullen and all. When I decided, I think I'll go to the toilet first before we go back home. Being 84 years of age, you make sure. So I was going on the men's toilets in Buncrana, and this young boy, schoolboy, was coming out with his dad, and he says, that's gross. And I thought, I wonder what it means. So I went down to the men's toilet in Buncrana, and I thought, right, I'll use a cubicle. The first cubicle was empty. The water was nearly coming out. It was full up, was blocked. So I says, I'll use the next toilet. So I went to the next toilet, and I couldn't believe it. I thought, wow. They call it dog's litter, called litter on the seat, and I thought, what the hell's going on here? I says, there's tourists coming on here, there's visitors. Buncrana is beautiful. The scenery's beautiful. Mm-hmm. I love the grass is cut. They have everything there. It's perfect. They even have the grass growing for the environment over on the other side there, which I think is a great idea for long grass, for the butterflies and the bees and all that there. And it's great for the... Yeah, it really does. So, to me, I can remember Buncrana was way back when the Lochs Valley Railway run there. So it's not a place... I'm just not a fly-by-night come in. But I thought, if a visitor's come to this toilet here, it just passes up all the beauty and the goodwill. Come on, wait a minute. There's signs around the place. Anybody dropping watching dog litter is €150 fine. Okay, there you are. That's making sure the dog people look after their dogs. But that men's toilet, I could not believe a Now, first of all, when I walked in, it was not a disinfectant smell. It was a smell.
Yeah.
Now, most places you go to, if you go down to Mobile, some great condition their toilets, which sometimes you go down there. Because that's the beauty about Derry. You went to leave Derry, they're all on the beautiful coast, seaside places are all there for you to go and see wherever you want to go. But Buncrana, from time began, has always been the shortest one to Derry. You go down the road.
Yeah.
And the friendly people, and a lovely place. So why would they not have somebody cleaning those toilets? Why? I thought, how simple. They could put a cone outside. They could get a hose. They could hose down the men's toilet inside, put disinfectant down. It wouldn't take long, even if it's done 4 times a day. It means that you're watching it. Yeah. And you know, I could not believe that they had done that, because they've done them much good. Buncrana Council have done that much good for Buncrana. It's so beautiful. It's so majestic. And they've all the playgrounds for kids. And anybody going down there is going to be impressed. So why spoil it by not keeping the toilets up to scratch?
Can I ask you, Patrick, you've said you're a regular visitor to Buncrana, so presumably you use those toilets on a regular basis and you know those toilets. Were they particularly bad on the 12th? Was this a one-off, or has there been a pattern of problems?
You see, I don't know. I was just disappointed when I had a young kid coming out and saying, that's gross. You know, as they say, you know, out of the mouths of babes.
Yeah.
You know, I couldn't believe when I saw it. It doesn't matter. Other times when you're on, today I just wanted to use the 12. I just think, at my age, I'll just go and use a cubicle. And those 2 cubicles were not habitable. No, they were not. Now, surely they could have poured somebody to clean the toilets. On the busy holidays that we have now, and Buncrana really is a busy place.
Yeah, and obviously, as you said, the 12th is always going to be a busy day. Yeah, the 12th is always going to be a busy day.
Because the 12th, the Derry people would be heading down towards Buncrana or heading somewhere else, you know. And the car park was full, so there must have been an awful lot of people, and the beach was full. It was, and the wife and I just sat on them lovely summer seats that they have. So when you get to our age, that's what you do. You sit on it, and we looked across the Swally, watched the ferry coming in, and just thought, this is peace and tranquility. My wife always says that once we cross the border from Derry, and let me say another country, because that's baloney, you're in another world.
Yeah.
That peace and tranquility hits you, and you feel a good factor. Yep. So why, for the sake of a toilet getting kept, would they not go out and why not get a grant from the European body to build new toilets with tiled, you know, really a class job? Because it's tourism we're talking about here. Yes. And surely some of them councillors or MPs or senators could say, I'll get you the money from Europe, knock this one down the water, and build another one, a class one.
Yeah.
To go to the blends and along with the rest of it.
Well, Patrick, we will put that question. We will put that question to Donegal County Council, and it's a point well made. And thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning.
You know, thank you for telling
Patrick,
me.
you look after yourself.
That's the second time, Donal, because your kitty helped us the last time to go and see Andrew Rue.
Good. I'm delighted.
You're so
and
friendly.
I'm delighted you had a good time. Patrick, thank you very much indeed. And we wish you and your wife all the best, and may you have many, many more years of enjoying the majesty and the beauty of Buncrana. Patrick,
it's the shortest distance between 2 points.
It
Donal.
absolutely is. And it's great to have it there. Patrick, thank you. Good morning.
The smash hit musical 6 is coming to Derry this summer. Divorced, beheaded, live on stage. The 6 wives of Henry VIII take to the mic to tell their side of the story. Don't miss 6 in Derry from the 23rd of August for 1 week only. Book now at millenniumforum.co.uk.
Morning, Joe. How are you?
Progress is always possible. It's about completion, not compromise. On one side, future-thinking Audi technology. On the other, meaningful experiences enabled by it. And with every uncompromising, precisely designed detail, there's a willingness to design an offer that suits you at your nearest Audi dealership. An altogether more forward Audi way of looking at things, don't you think? Because the future is more than a destination. Future is an attitude.
Treat your garden to a makeover at GMG Stone Letterkenny. We offer great value on decorative stone, garden paving, slabs and artificial grass. All tailored to your needs with home delivery available. We also supply railway sleepers, whiskey barrels and place sand. All available for pickup or delivery. Open Monday to Saturday from 9:30 a.m. to 6 p.m. You will find us beside Donaghy Motorhomes on the Port Road. For an appointment, call 087 647 9121. GMG Stone, just what your garden needs.
Years ago, I used to dread my motor insurance renewal. Then a friend told me about O'Malley Scanlon Insurance in Ballybofey and Dunlow. They do all the hard work. They contact all the major insurance underwriters and they get the very best possible quote for me. They have saved me a small fortune over the years and they could do the same for you.
When your insurance comes up for renewal, contact O'Malley Scanlon Insurance at their Ballybofey office on 9131020 or their Dunlow office on 952206. O'Malley Scanlon is regulated by the Central Bank.
Getting value on your shopping has never been more important. That's why at Super Value we have great offers like Super Value Fresh Irish Strip Loin Steak save 33%. Selected cupboard fillers like Cadbury pouches and McVitie's biscuits, any 3 for €5. And get new weekly money off vouchers on the Real Rewards app. For low prices that compete with anyone, it's got to be Super Value.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
One of the things I love doing this programme on a Thursday for is the fact that you get to talk to Dr. Joe Kelly, the historian, about the history of Donegal and the wider country, and it's always a fascinating discussion and a fascinating topic up for discussion on the programme this morning. I'm of an age where I was 18 when the Moving Hearts first album came out. No, I was 17 actually when Moving Hearts first album came out. A revolutionary album in this country. And one of the songs on it was a song that went, "Once upon a time there was Irish ways and Irish laws, villages of Irish blood welcoming the morning." And that was a reference, of course, to the Brehon law tradition of this country. And it's the Brehon law. The old Irish law is the subject this morning. Joe Kelly, good morning.
Mighty good Donal agus the luck déiste. Good morning to yourself and to your listeners there out in Highland Radio land.
Indeed. Irish ways and Irish laws, the Moving Hearts song, I'm sure you know it well, Joe, as many people will. But it's reflective of the fact that long before there was, shall we say, a codified system of English law imposed on this country, there was an Irish law, a Brehon law that was very, very different in its format and very, very different in its application.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things about Irish culture and the word cultare from the Latin to grow, when we were colonised, what was brought to our country was seen to be superior and what we had was considered inferior. So not only were we deprived of our lands, we were reduced to savagery on that land, and the customs and traditions and societal developments that we had a very, very highly sophisticated society, and let there be no doubt about that. And Pearson, Plunkett and Casement and people like that with the Celtic twilight, Douglas de Hege, our first president, understood that colonialism had almost destroyed the soul of Ireland. And we live today in an Ireland where it's common law, where it's mostly British law. We adopted the British law after independence. But if we ever would scratch the surface of our history a little amount, we would be surprised how sophisticated and how advanced a cultural system we had in Ireland before, say, the Flight of the Earls, the old Gaelic order. It was comparative to any other European country of its time. It was far, far superior. There is no doubt about that. And so how do we find out about Irish society is through the manuscripts that have survived, and, for example, through the legal system that reflects how society worked, functioned, how people thought about regulations and movements within the society. So look, that's basically a very important thing to say. So when we're talking about Irish law, it's a pity that our students aren't taught about these things in school to make us realize we had a very sophisticated society before the arrival of our colonial neighbours.
One of the few things I remember about it, and I would have learned a bit about Brehon law when I was in, and I presume when we're talking Irish law, we're talking what we would have been taught as Brehon law when we were in school. Is it more subtle than that, or is that the overarching term we can use?
Well, Brehev comes from the Irish, Brehev, a judge, we still call her judges Brehevs today, but the Brehon law was more or less early Irish law. You're talking from St. Patrick's time right into the 8th century. Now, these laws predate the arrival of Christianity, which is terribly interesting. And if you look comparatively with Alfred the Great in England, which is about the 9th century, the Brehon law was at its peak at that time, while he was only grabbing scraps of law from society in the time it hadn't even been codified. We were that far advanced in the development of our society by the 9th century. And so there are about 50 manuscripts that survive. Now, these manuscripts come from the 15th, 16th century, but they're copies of copies of copies that go back to the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th century. And so, for example, one of the great manuscripts that we have of the early Irish law is called the Shanahas Mór. And it's a written down, codified system of law that had developed through pagan times. And it was composed by, supposedly, now the Annals of the Four Masters makes reference to it, and as does other manuscripts, by 9 men, St. Patrick and 2 other saints, 3 kings and 3 wise learned men, and they codified this law. And this law was basically adopted throughout the whole Tuas. There was about 150 Tuas in Ireland. The Tuas were little kingdoms, and they consisted of about 3,000 people. So our society was regulated by these Brehon laws, and these laws were adopted in every Tua. And every so often there would have been Aoineas or gatherings in which these laws would have been discussed and maybe altered, and then people would go from the Aoineas, the gatherings, and go back to their Tuas with the laws being amended and knowing then this was the new regulations.
And it does make sense, because we know that in those times post-Patrick, that people like our own Columkill, in 1400 years ago, thereabouts, they were going abroad, they were forming monasteries in Europe, in the UK. We know they were bringing scripts like the Book of Kells. We know they were bringing manuscripts of a religious nature. It would stand to reason that if they were going abroad, if they were founding monasteries, founding churches, founding colleges and places of learning, the saints and the scholars, presumably we can assume that as well as bringing religious manuscripts, they were bringing laws, they were bringing societal documents as well.
Yeah, that would have been very evident, all right. And like when with the fall of the Roman Empire, you're talking about 326, 324, around those 2 years, 24, 26. The barbarians, so to speak, moved in from down through Germany into what was a Roman Empire, and it collapsed. And we know then it was the Dark Ages. It's like somebody put out the switches, and the Pax Romanum, the Peace of Rome, collapsed. But the Irish then go back into Europe, bringing order, structure, regulations, and a lot of that would have been drawn from the experience of the early Irish law. And it's important to say that they were pagan laws, and then they were Christianized to some degree, but not absolutely. And again, what's terribly important in the Brehon laws was they covered almost every aspect of society that we can talk about today. Domestic violence, treatment of animals, environment, contract law, relationships, children. It covered almost every aspect, and relative to its time, it was so advanced. In fact, some of the laws would be in keeping and maybe more advanced than where we are at in recent times, and what I mean in the last century.
We're used to be told about the historic patriarchy, where laws were very much framed in the interests of white men, and that women would not have had rights, and that immigrants would not have had rights, and that those who were not white males would not necessarily have rights. Was that the case, or do these laws suggest perhaps a more progressive view of society than we would have seen in later years?
Yeah, well, one has to be understanding. We're talking about laws that go back 1,500 years. Okay, so you've got to understand that it was very much a patriarchal society.
It would have still been patriarchal,
But within that, there was a great understanding of the value of women and of children and so forth. But the way the law works, the system worked, which was very insightful, everybody had what they call lorg nai, face value. They had it's an Irish word, an honour price, and depending on the kind of person you were, where you had status in society, your honour price was set. So, for example, if you were a king and somebody just, for example, assaulted you, then the honour price for you would be much higher, say, than somebody that was just a simple apprentice working somewhere. So, depending on where you were in society, your honour price corresponded. So, women's honour price went with their nearest person. So, for example, if it was a husband, or if it was their father, or if it was their son, their honour price was associated to the nearest male related to them or connected to them. So if something was done, say, for example, rape or domestic violence or things like that there, then the honour price she would get would be equivalent to half her brother or half her husband or half. That's the way it worked. And the honour price was across all individuals within society. However, which is very, very interesting, and I would say this is the influence of Christianity, a child between baptism and 7 had the same honour price as a king. So anything that was done to a child, any wrong, that I think this is very insightful, that the child was considered equal to the king in value, their honour price, Lorgai. And to think what's maybe, a recent history in Ireland and whatnot, how insightful that was. As regards ladies and women, there was different levels of marriage, and oftentimes the reference in Irish law is to women within marriage. There was 9 different types of contracts of marriage. Marriage just wasn't man and a woman. It was the concept that if a woman married a man and it brought property and status, then she'd equal honour price in the marriage as he had. Or where, for example, if a woman against the will of her family married a man, then the marriage was of a lesser value in honour price. There was different values put to that. But some of it now you would be a wee bit uncomfortable with, that the husband was allowed to slap his wife to correct her. But if he left a blemish on her, then she could divorce him. So it was very strict. So it was only for correction, but not to hurt her. And then the other thing was, if a man became too large or too heavy and wasn't able to satisfy his wife, then she had the right to divorce him. So there was lots of different intricate laws. I understand them in daytime radio. So very well thought out. They had thought of everything. So look, they're just some of the laws in relation to women, which I thought were very, very interesting.
I have a final question, if I may, and it's, how was this monitored and regulated? Did we have a system of comparable to, say, barristers and solicitors and judges? Did we have the equivalent of Black Hall or King's Inns in terms of training people who would be experts in law and would act as mediators or would act as judges? And indeed, would we have had what we would now understand as a police force?
Well, look, at the way we know it at the moment in Ireland, our judges are of a very high standard, unblemished, and they stay aloof to a certain degree of society, and they bring in honour and integrity to their role as judges, and rightly so, and they carry that. We've been very lucky in Ireland that we have had that whole tradition within our country where judges are without or are unquestioned and untarnished. And likewise, in this time in the Irish law, the judges were seen as very important people. Obviously, they were men, and that they were schooled. There were law schools to do this. And in pagan times, it would have been the fella, the poet, but then the poet would become then obviously the brave, the judge, through learning. But it's terribly important to say as well that, in relation to Donegal, first and foremost, you had Colm Killi's book on copyright. when he copied the book, and the king then made the judgment, Dermot, to every cow its calf, to every book its copy. This is back into the Irish law. This was the first case of copyright in the world. Again, back to Brehon law. St. Ewan, our own Nivaun, introduced a law, lex innocentium, the law of the innocent, and it basically, Nivaun, or Adaman as the old Irish, he held a conference in Birr in 697, and he had 91 of the leaders, kings and ecclesiastical leaders of Ireland, Dalriad, the part of Scotland, and Pictland further over towards maybe Aberdeen, that direction. 91 of them agreeing to the laws of combat, that women and children and religious were not to be interfered with in any way with a war. Now, we only caught up with that in the Geneva Convention of 1949 after World War II. Again, this shows how advanced our law system was in Ireland, that it took almost 500 years later, that they were figuring this out here in Europe with the Geneva Convention. So
as
look
you
at our
said,
laws.
there were 302, there were 300 small kingdoms. Was the power of the judge recognised as being above those, and would the law have been recognised as being above those? Was the law accepted across the country, or did each of the two have its own individual system, as it were, and its own individual judge?
No, the king was, so to speak, the judge as such. He made the judgments, but his judgments were based on the advice of his brehef. So every king would have a brehef within his outreach, and they would advise him on everything from property, verbal contract. There was one very, very interesting manuscript. And it's in use at Trinity College Dublin. They actually had a laws. It's about 14 leaves, 14 pages, defining. It's called Beh Bracha, bee laws. That the Irish society at that time had laws about bees and about bee stings and about how people would have to regulate their hives and neighbours. And so every third year, the local neighbours, the man that would have a beehive would have to give honey to his 4 closest neighbours because his bees were trespassing onto their lands to harvest the nectar and so forth. The highly, highly sophisticated laws. Imagine back then that they had laws about the keeping of bees. As I said to you, I mean, it's like trying to put maybe a litre into a pint glass, condensing this here today.
Of course.
But what is terribly important to impress upon people is we had a very highly sophisticated society in the old Gaelic order, and we should never forget that, and we should draw from that and understand that we were a very educated, noble, learned people who were brought to our knees by colonialism. We should never forget that, and it's maybe on us to make sure that we always try to draw from that well and understand that, we had something that was absolutely fabulous in this country, and we can be very, very proud of our Irish roots, Irish history, Irish culture in that regard. And so, look, that's an overview of the Irish law. There's so much. There'll be laws about the likes of yourself, Donal.
I've no doubt.
You've come into to Donegal, so you've moved in from a tour. You're an outsider.
Mm-hmm. I came from Derbyshire. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're a Jared. You're a wanderer that's come in. So your honour price would only be related to your wife if she was from Donegal, for example, or whoever it would you'd be next to. Your honour price would be half of theirs, and it took you 3 years then to won over rights in your own self to have within the tour. And the other thing was there was also then people that came from abroad. So, for example, St. Patrick, when he arrived, he would have been known as a coo glass. Coo is a hound, a grey hound, because he was totally outside the tour.
Yeah.
And they would never get into having a very high honour price within the law. So there was lots of stuff on that. And one other thing, maybe what I found was very interesting, was people that had mental incapacities, and there was 3 different types of categories on that. There, they were when brought to court or judged, they were mitigating circumstances. If they were deranged or if they weren't in the mental capacity, they were not in any way found guilty. I thought that was fascinating, that they understood the mental challenges and the struggles that maybe people would have, and that was understood within the law. A very, very insightful, again, showing how advanced it was for its time, So look, there's lots of other laws we could talk about, about killing and self-defense, about drunkenness, about liability, about the management of horses, terrible lot about farming and how to farm, and about lost property, about loans. One big thing was verbal contract. Verbal contract was considered very important because in those times writing wasn't a common thing, and if a man didn't keep his word, it was considered a very, very serious crime. Now, the nature of crime, by the way, there was no prisons, so you paid. There was a payment made. Your honour price demanded a certain payment, and you were paid with cows or with grain so there was a set price paid, and you had to pay that. And if you didn't pay it, and the person that you owned that to came to your house and fasted, trosket, and you ate within that time of you handing over what was due to them, and if you ate within that time, then your fine was doubled. So people would go and fast outside the house of the person that was owing them money, or owing them what was due, not money, but property or cows due to their honour price. So again, a very, very complicated, sophisticated law system, very, very advanced for its time.
Dr. Joe Kelly, as always, it's been an absolute pleasure, and as always, time has caught up with us and beaten us. Thank you very much indeed for that insight, and we look forward to doing it again. Joe, thank you very much indeed. Fáilte Róth agus Slán. Joe Kelly there, historian, always a fascinating discussion. This is the 9 to Noon Show on Highland Radio. It's 4 minutes past 11, so with apologies to Emma, we're going to go over and take the headlines with Emma Ryan.
Thanks, Donal. Good morning. A student who's had his accommodation cancelled twice during his time studying in Letterkenny says there's a major accommodation problem which has been going on for far too long. David, a final year student in Letterkenny, had secured private accommodation for the upcoming college year, but it has been cancelled, and alternative options are already booked or have long waiting lists. The Make It Effective Building Blocks legislation goes to the final stage in the Seanad later. It comes as government looks to get it passed ahead of the summer recess. However, affected homeowners say the bill isn't fit for purpose, and that changes they are proposing aren't being given the time needed to be considered. Companies in Donegal are being encouraged to avail of a new €85 million scheme aimed at increasing the use of digital technology to improve their online business. As part of the National Grow Digital campaign, the €85 million Digital Transition Fund is now in place to help companies use digital technology like AI, cloud computing and big data to improve their products, processes, supply chains and services. The Foreign Affairs Minister admits accommodating the Ukrainian refugees at the minute isn't easy. It comes as the government has paused its intake of refugees, with state accommodation centres reaching full capacity. The Cabinet Subcommittee will meet today to put together a contingency plan. Up to 1,500 routine surgeries on Irish patients are said to be carried out at a new Spanish hospital. Under the EU cross-border directive, patients can be referred for treatments at the 62-bed facility in Alicante, which opens today. Patients will have to pay for the service but will be reimbursed by the HSE. However, travel costs will not be covered. And finally, weather forecasters say the latest charts this morning still show temperatures potentially exceeding 30 degrees from Sunday. Met Éireann issued a high temperature advisory and says it could trigger a high temperature warning over the weekend and into the early days of next week. That's all for now. We'll be back with news again at 12 noon.
Did you know that last year Pieta supported more than 600 families who had lost a loved one to suicide?
Or that we have Pieta centres across Ireland providing almost 1,000 hours of counselling every week?
Or that we are now hiring additional therapists to meet the growing demand for help?
Pieta services are completely free of charge. If you would like to know more about our life-saving work or how you can join the Pieta team, go to pieta.ie.
Pieta.
Ending suicide.
Beginning hope.
Beat the cost of Brexit with no customs charges. Do you need a UK address for your limited company or personal use? Space Hub in Derry can provide you with your own mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Space Hub and collect at your convenience. There's brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock, ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook at spacehubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for more details.
If If you have a job to do this weekend, did you know that Watson Hire still have their brilliant weekend hire deal available? You can hire any item on Friday, keep it until Monday, and only pay for 1 day. That's 3 days hire on any equipment or machinery for the price of one. So there's no excuses to get that job done this weekend. Book early to avoid disappointment by calling Watson Hire in Letterkenny on 916-7777.
Farming through the heatwave. This week's Irish Farmers Journal has essential advice for all farmers. For more, here's Paul Mooney.
Find out the steps your farm can take to prevent heat stress in animals and other heat-related issues. We've the key dates you need to know for the new Acres Farm Payment Scheme. Banks warn that new nitrates rules could reduce farmer lending. And farmers revolt across Europe amid rising input costs and climate targets.
This week's Irish Farmers Journal. More than ever, you cannot afford to miss it.
At Meehan's of Raffo, there's top brands such as Diesel, Wrangler, Remus, Kingpin and Outrage jeans. Also Tough Stuff trousers and workwear, with men's shirts and polo shirts in sizes up to 6XL. In their ladies department, check out the new Pico clothing, and there's 20% off selected Diesel clothing. Right now at Meehan's of Raffo. Follow us on Facebook.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, offering low-rate car loans with fast approval. Apply online at letterkennycu.ie or in office today.
Into the third hour of the 9 till noon show this morning. 086 60 25,000 for your text or WhatsApp messages. 074 91 25,000 if you want to call. Caroline and Donna Marie standing by and taking your calls. A new era is being promised for the Defence Forces with a new action plan announced. Taoiseach Micheál Martin says the development of the Defence Forces is essential, but he cautioned the plans will take time to complete. Micheál Martin was speaking as the action plan was announced based on the report of the Commission of the Defence Forces. The launch took place yesterday at McKee Barracks in Dublin. Delighted to say I'm joined on the line by the Minister for Defence and also the Minister for Foreign Affairs, Minister Simon Coveney. Minister, good morning.
Hi, Donal. Thanks for having me on.
It's our pleasure. Minister, you obviously have been deeply involved in the discussions leading up to this action plan, and as part of that process, you visited Finner Camp some weeks ago.
Yeah, absolutely. And part of the process here was to try to visit all of the barracks around the country, to speak face-to-face with Defence Force personnel of all ranks, and to have an honest conversation around their experiences within the Defence Forces, what their ambitions were, their frustrations. It won't be any secret to hear that we've had challenges in terms of recruitment and retention in the Defence Forces. Our numbers are below where they should be. And what we announced yesterday as a government is the largest ever investment and commitment to the Defence Forces of any government over the last 100 years. I mean, we're effectively committing €9 billion to defence expenditure over the next 6 years. That's a very significant increase. We're hoping in that time, working with the Defence Forces, to be able to take on close to 6,000 people into the Defence Forces. That's 3,000 into the Permanent Defence Forces and 3,000 into the Reserve. And of course, that means that all of our defence infrastructure, including Finner Camp, but also many of the other barracks around the country, in some cases will need to be upgraded. We'll need to make investment in more accommodation, and obviously all of the other facilities that our barracks needs. But we also need to invest in other equipment. For our army, it'll be about new equipment that will allow them to be part of perhaps more complex peacekeeping missions in different parts of the world. We're going to develop a new cyber command to add an extra 100 people to the Defence Forces, specialists in cyber security. From a naval service point of view, there will be effectively new naval infrastructure both on the west coast and east coast to complement what we have in Cork in terms of the headquarters. And we're talking about adding about 700 people to the naval service to ensure that that people who commit to a life in the naval service don't have to go to sea for quite as many weeks in the year, but we can keep our ships out because we'll be able to double crew them with more crews. So this is a plan for expansion, investment, and also to improve the pay and conditions as well of the Defence Forces over that period of time.
One of the inevitable questions.
Really
one of the inevitable questions is going to be that in terms of the expansion that you speak of, will part of that expansion involve to any extent eroding Irish neutrality and specifically looking more toward the prospect of joining NATO?
No, is the straight answer to that. I think people constantly mix up funding and resourcing defence capacity with Irish neutrality and whether or not we should be part of formal defence pacts like NATO and so on. We're not part of NATO. We're not planning to join NATO anytime soon. We are a non-aligned country, but that also means that we have to have the capacity to defend ourselves, at least at a basic level. And if we're going to be a serious international contributor to peacekeeping missions and to peace enforcement and conflict prevention in different parts of the world, which I believe we should be, and many people join the defence forces because they want to be part of that, well, then we have to have the capacity to be able to do it. We have to have the numbers to be able to do it. And of course, there are real challenges in terms of our own security at home here as well. At the moment, we don't know what's in our airspace or in the international airspace that we're responsible for, because we don't have the primary radar capacity to be able to give us that information. This is the government decisions yesterday will allow us to move ahead straight away with up to 200 million euros of investment in that kind of infrastructure, some of which will probably be on the coastline in Donegal and Mayo. So this is about two things, really. First of all, the work of the Commission on the Defence Forces, who have given us a very strong evidence base to show that, look, there are blatant capacity problems with our defence forces and we need to make investments to fix that. And then secondly, what's happening in Ukraine at the moment, the aggression that's coming from Russia, the war that we're experiencing on our continent that has driven 7 million people in the space of 4 months into the EU. 40,000 of them have come to Ireland. The global security environment has changed. Every country in the European Union is increasing their investment and their focus on defence and security, and we can't be any different. I mean, just because we're neutral doesn't mean we're separate to all of those challenges and risks, and we saw that during the COVID pandemic when a cyber attack effectively forced our hospitals to operate on a paper-based system for quite a number of weeks. It cost us over 100 million euros to solve that problem, and it put an awful lot of patients' lives at risk. So Ireland, of course, it's not threatened in the same way that countries that are bordering the eastern borders of the EU are threatened by Russia. But we certainly do have threats, and we need to contribute to collective efforts within the European Union to make sure that common security and defence issues are taken seriously. And in order to do that, Ireland needs to spend more money on defence. We need more personnel within our defence forces, I think, to be credible. And to ensure that what we ask of our defence forces, they have the capacity to do in terms of resourcing.
And in terms of recruiting those personnel, as you've said, there have been issues with retention. Many of those issues linked, obviously, to pay and conditions. Is there going to be a commensurate rise in pay, a commensurate improvement in the conditions being offered to present and new recruits to try and get more recruitment, and more importantly, to try and up the retention figures?
Yes, it's the straight answer to that. And I think it was interesting that, the Commission interviewed over 1,000 members of the Defence Forces to actually hear what they had to say around recruitment and retention issues and their experience of the Defence Forces. And yes, pay and conditions were part of the discussion, but only part of the discussion. We've also got to treat people differently in the Defence Forces. We've got to make sure that the culture changes. We've got to attract more women into the Defence Forces. Currently, we only have 7% of our Defence Forces are women. We've had issues in relation to bullying and sexual harassment. That has to stop, and it's going to stop. And so this is about structural and cultural change to make the Defence Forces a more attractive career option, a safer place to work, an exciting place to work, much more transparency around promotion opportunities. If there are complaints, that we have complaints procedures that respond appropriately. And that's one of the reasons why, by the way, we're starting now immediately the recruitment process to bring in a civilian head of transformation who will be reporting directly into the Chief of Staff, and also a civilian head of HR in the Defence Forces who will be reporting directly into the Chief of Staff to try and bring about that cultural change in terms of how we manage people in the Defence Forces. On pay and conditions, the two representative bodies in the Defence Forces, both PD4 and RACO have asked me to allow for associate membership of ICTU for those two bodies for the purposes of the public sector pay talks that are currently underway, and I've given them. Stated it, I should say. So we're responding to that, and even in the decision we made yesterday in terms of allowances, there are many who join the Defence Forces who don't get their full military service allowance up until 3 years after they've joined the Defence Forces. That's now going to change, and they're going to get those allowances from day one, because an awful lot of people who leave the Defence Forces leave in the first 3 years. So we are moving to improve the pay and allowances issues for our Defence Forces, and of course we're looking at quite dramatic structural change across the Defence Forces, and to improve the quality of life, if you like, the work-life balance that's needed even for soldiers in the Defence Forces, while of course ensuring that we have a very efficient Defence Forces as well. So this is about the start of probably the most radical process of change and investment and growth and expansion in the Defence Forces that we've seen since independence. And you know, the Taoiseach and myself launched that yesterday in McKee Barracks.
Well, we will look with interest on how that progresses up to 2028. It's anticipated it will take for the full programme to be implemented. Micheál Martin saying it is going to take some time. Minister Simon Coveney, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning.
Thank you, anytime. Thank you.
Attention all staff. Clean up on aisle 4, please. That's a clean up on aisle 4. And Jacob, who's popped in for a pint of milk, has diabetes.
We don't always know who's at risk from COVID-19 and other viruses, but we do know how to protect them. Keep hands clean and wear a mask. Let fresh air in, get vaccinated and stay at home if you are unwell. From the HSE, for us all.
Tesco Clubcard has the power to lower prices on household gadgets like the Zanussi cordless vacuum cleaner was €250, now €125. And the Sharp 50-inch Android Smart TV was €650, now €325. You can't stop fights over the TV remote though. Nothing's that powerful. Lower the cost of your shop with your Tesco Clubcard or app. The power to lower prices. Tesco. Every little helps. Product subject to availability. Excludes express stores.
Beat the cost of Brexit with no customs charges. Do you need a UK address for your limited company or personal use? Spiz Hub in Derry can provide you with your own mailbox. Have your post and parcels delivered to Spiz Hub and collect at your convenience. There's brand new 20-foot shipping containers now in stock, ideal for all your storage needs at our Springtown and Coolmore depots. Find us on Facebook at spizhubderry.com or call 04871 878077 for more details.
Quick, write this number down. 91 48 234. Fleming Doors, you know. Industrial doors, garage doors, agri doors, insulated doors, milking parlour doors. Fleming, 91 48 234.
Are you thinking of changing or upgrading your current car? Why not think Seat? Trade up your Seat SUV and you will be offered PCP finance from 1.9% and a 3-year service plan from just $9.99 per month. Choose from the bold Arona, the stylish new Ateca, or the outstanding 7-seat Tarraco. We're all ready. Are you? Trade up your 222 Seat SUV at DMG Motors, Clar Road, Donegal Town. For more information, visit dmgmotors.ie. Finance provided by way of hire purchase agreement from Volkswagen Financial Services Ireland. Trading as Seat Financial Services. Subject to lending criteria, terms and conditions apply.
This is a radio ad, voiced by an actor, made by a producer. It's all pretty straightforward. But when it comes to radio, there's more than meets the ear. If you're someone who's always wondered what goes on behind the mic, then the Learning Waves SkillNet 360 Broadcast Bootcamp course could be for you. You learn all about radio from some of the best people in the industry, from music presentation, music links, research, interviewing and editing, to voice training, and how to produce and present features for local, regional and even national radio. Better still, it's all free and fully funded by Learning Waves SkillNet through the SkillNet Ireland Skills Connect programme. All you have to do is apply before Friday, August 13 on learningwaves.ie. Go on, it could be your lucky day.
The 9 till noon show is brought to you by Letterkenny Credit Union, with monster loans available up to €60,000 for all occasions. Visit letterkennycu.ie.
just some of your comments and questions. Caller asks, how much is it to cross the Dublin toll bridges? The M50 at the moment, I think, is in the region of 270, 280 if you're to pay your toll. You'll cross it, a picture will be taken of your car registering your number, and then you have to pay that toll within, by 8 o'clock, I think, the following evening, and you can do that online or you can do that at various shops. The toll on the M1 just outside Dundalk is now €2 straight for a car. I can't say what it is for other vehicles, but I know it's €2 straight for a car, which, to be honest with you, is something of a relief, because when you were trying to struggle to get a euro, a 50 and two 20s, it's a lot easier just to throw one €2 coin into the basket. A friend was referred to Letterkenny University Hospital at 7:20 yesterday for a bite she'd received on a walk. She is still sitting in the emergency department and has only been in for blood pressure. It's a long time to wait. What's the hold up for something that's likely to be treated in a few minutes? My understanding is the way things work in the ED is as soon as you arrive, you will be triaged and then prioritised based on the severity of your injury and the severity of the emergency. But we will certainly look into that. Now, let's go to Zoom, because we're joined by Councillor Donal Mandy Kelly, who is the Mayor of the Letterkenny Municipal District. Donal, good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
We were speaking earlier this week about CCTV cameras in the Twin Towns area, and there's a public consultation on where they should be placed. 6 more cameras now to be based in the wider Letterkenny area, and again, the public are going to have their right to a say.
Yeah, the public consultation was launched yesterday for 6 new cameras within the Letterkenny area. The public consultation can be viewed in the Courtyard Shopping Centre in Letterkenny, or feedback can be emailed to cctvletterkenny@gmail.com. This was something, I suppose, was brought up by Gardaí Síochána, something that they recommended, Donal, and an application has been submitted by the Chamber of Commerce for these extra cameras, and listen, I suppose the cameras we have in place there, we have one camera on the station roundabout, and we have 2 at the Courthouse Junction. We have one on High Road, and one on Market Square, and one on Lower Main Street. And these cameras have worked in a very positive manner since they've been put in place. It has deterred, I'm told by a Gardaí, deterred shoplifters from, I suppose, carrying out, I suppose it'd be like their trade, within the town, and they've worked wonders. And I think this public consultation now for 6 more cameras, 2 to be placed in the Polestar roundabout, 2 at the hospital roundabout, 1 on Oliver Plunkett Road there at the Voodoo, and 1 on the island at Larkin's Lane. I think it'll be a great asset myself now to the town to have these extra cameras put in place. And, it's very important as well now for the public to have their say. And that's the reason for a public consultation and all the details that are in the Courtyard Shopping Centre. So I would urge the public to go and visit the Courtyard Shopping Centre and have a look at the maps of where these cameras are to be designated, and have their say, because, as I say, Donal, it's very important, the public have their say on this as well.
Obviously, CCTV plays an important role in, as you said there, deterrence, and also in investigating crimes that have happened. And there have been certainly occasions where footage taken from CCTV and processed by Gardaí has had a crucial role to play in the outcome of court cases. Another area in which CCTV can help is in the area of traffic management. Now, we know there was a pilot programme in Letterkenny some time ago whereby some of the cameras were actually switched on live, and people could look on webcams and in fact see what traffic conditions were like around Letterkenny in places like the station roundabout, places like the Polestar. And a lot of people saying, can we not do that again? Is that something that can form part of this discussion?
Yeah, definitely is, Donal. And I mean, again, I want to express again that's all part of the public consultation. People come out and express their views and their opinions, and they'll all be taken on board. And you're 100% correct. The cameras that are in place and have been in place for a number of years, they have captured several incidents, and they've been a big part of solving, I suppose, various crimes, if you like, as well. And different issues are on within the town, and what you're after stating too about the traffic control and things like that. These cameras, I mean, they can be used in different ways and different avenues, and as I say, I can't express enough, Donal, for the public to come out now and visit the courtyard and have their say on it. There's no point in down the line, maybe when these cameras is in and coming out then and expressing your views and opinions when it's too late. Now's the time to do it, and I would urge the public to come out, because it is very important, not only for the RDC Conor and the Chambers of Commerce, for us as councillors as well, and for Donegal County Council.
I want to go very briefly to a call on line 2, and I know you've taken a keen interest in traffic around Letterkenny yourself, and in particular on the effective roadworks in the between the Polestar and the Dry Arch on the 4-lane there. There's a caller on line 2 who has a story to tell. Good morning.
Good morning, Donal.
Good morning.
I think, or I don't know that guy's name.
Donal, he's Donal too. You have two Donals just to confuse us.
Right, lovely. Put traffic lights on the Polestar roundabout, for God's sake. That's the only words I can come up with. Because it's terrible how people have to sit every evening for about 45 to 55 minutes in traffic waiting to get home. Whereas if you had traffic lights, everybody would get a turn, everybody would get home quicker. That's
It's a fair question, and Donal, I will put that to you. Now, it goes perhaps slightly beyond the CCTV thing, but certainly, and I know that the roadworks have had an impact, and certainly at the moment, this week, because of the 12th of July and a high influx of visitors from Northern Ireland, we're going to have very heavy traffic on that road too. But from the point of view of the Polestar and traffic management there, is it time to start considering lights?
Yeah, Donal, I welcome your caller's opinions there. I never caught her name there, but I welcome her opinions and the views of everybody out there, all the constituents out there. The views of them that we want to take on board. I can tell you, Donal, that we recently had a meeting with the contractors of the 4-lane, ourselves along with the Chamber of Commerce, and that's something that we did bring up as councillors as well. Was traffic lights at the Polestar? So just for that caller, it's something that we have expressed, and we will continue to express and look into, and try to get them implemented, because I do believe myself it would make a lot of sense there, and as I say, we will keep pushing for this.
Mm-hmm. Right, well, that's some positive news. Thanks very much indeed for your call, Conor. Donal, one final question before I let you go. And it's funding, even as particularly in things like the traffic management use of the cameras. The reason there was a pilot project is there was funding for a pilot project, and then that money was withdrawn. If there is to be more use of the cameras for things like that, it's going to take more money, it's going to take more funding. How advanced are you and the JPC and the Chamber and others in terms of increasing the funding so the cameras can be utilised to their fullest?
Yeah, Donal, that's something we'll definitely be looked into. Listen, there's I'm not on the GPC committee myself now, but there's a number of councillors on it there as well, and they'll be expressing their views on that, and they'll be working hard to have the funding made to its full potential and full use as well. No doubt about that, along with the Chamber of Commerce. So going forward, Donal, I think this will be a great asset to Letterkenny, and that's what we're looking at down the line here, is to help improve the town, and listen, traffic congestion, we all know as well, it's a big problem within Letterkenny, and we're pushing hard as county councillors to address them, in every opportunity we get. And number one as well, Donal, now for these cameras in place, is the safety of our constituents, the people within Letterkenny, whether it's shopping, whether it's cycling the roads, walking the roads, whether it's going out at night, that's all is number one, and something that I think these cameras will play a big part in.
Finally, and we all know that, a lot of people are listening to this at the moment, and they're all saying the same thing. What about the Bonnicky Bridge? What about the second link over the Swilly? And ultimately, if we're going to solve all these traffic congestion problems that we're having, particularly around the Polestar, particularly on the 4-lane, it's going to take the Bonnicky link. It's going to take that second bridge, isn't it?
No, you have me last nearly every day. Come on, me.
But I mean, and indeed, I've just been handed. Donal Ree's just given me a piece of paper. It just says traffic lights on the Polestar roundabout are the only sensible solution to the traffic congestion pertaining to that location. I hope it won't take as long as the bridge over the Swilly. Another caller just saying, "Thank you, Councillor Donal, for getting my grandchild's passport." So that's an unrelated thing, but a caller expressing thanks, and we're happy to pass that on. As yeah, obviously the Bonnicky.
A bit of pat on the back, though.
Well, you have to though. We will. And obviously the Bonnicky link. It's a thing we haven't necessarily talked an awful lot about it in the past while, but the Bonnicky link remains as it were, the Holy Grail for Letterkenny. The campaign for that Bonnicky link remains, and just because we're not talking about it, it doesn't mean that the campaign to get it and to get it built isn't continuing in the background.
Definitely not done. I mean, as I say, Donal, you have had me on this several times, and rightly so. And I understand the frustration of the people out there coming into the town. Like, I actually went through the town yesterday evening myself, and out the Polestar, it was diabolical trying to get around it. But listen, the Bonnicky link and the bridges, in my view, it's a major priority that should be implemented sooner rather than later. And listen, that's not to say that this isn't the long finger, Donal. This is something that we're pushing hard for, as well at every opportunity we get as local reps, and we will continue to push hard on this, because I do believe that it is the way forward, that a bridge over the Swilly to take that traffic congestion away for the four lane, I do believe it'll be a game changer for Letterkenny town and from getting nothing out to it, definitely. So listen, as I say, it's you mightn't hear it being raised all the time on social media or the likes of the radio here, Donal, but be assured this is something that we are pushing hard on in the background and will continue to push hard on.
Councillor Donal Mandy Kelly, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning.
Donal, before we read up there, can I just wish a fella a 92nd happiest birthday of the day?
It wouldn't be Ian McGarvey, perchance, would it?
Ian McGarvey, the oldest sitting councillor and the whole of the country has turned 92 today, and I can honestly say, I suppose just in the last 2 years I really got to know Ian very well, and an absolute gentleman, and a fellow that wears his heart on his sleeve, and I see him in the chamber there every day that run it. I mean, he works hard for his constituents, and his dedication and his passion to the job, it's breathtaking. It's a breath of fresh air, and I want to wish him a happy 92nd birthday day and all the best for the future as well.
And he's a man who is still well able to talk on behalf of the issues he's representing and the people
he
represents. So he can talk for Ireland, and he frequently does. Donal, thank you very much indeed.
Thanks,
and we obviously we all echo that happy birthday to Councillor Ian McGarvey as well. What a man.
At Creaseless Supermarket, we are renowned for offering quality and value for all your convenience needs. We have expanded and are now offering a full on-post service. Pay a bill, send a package or lodge into a bank account. Our on-post service is available Monday to Saturday. Creaseless Supermarket. We're here for you.
Do you suffer from high cholesterol, menopause symptoms, digestive issues, anxiety, aches and pains, or a lack of energy? The highly trained team at The Natural Way Letterkenny can provide advice on natural remedies for a number of individual health issues. The Natural Way also has its own brand of herbal treatments to help fight fatigue, relieve digestive discomfort, maintain a healthy immune system and alleviate common menopause symptoms. The Natural Way at Letterkenny Shopping Centre, your one-stop health shop.
Summer Black Tag Sale at Curry's. Save €120 on the Samsung 65-inch Smart 4K TV, now $729. And get the HP 14-inch laptop with Intel Core i3, now $519. Save €150. Get in store or online at currys.ie.
Green Shoes in Letterkenny and Fulcara have shoes for every occasion. All your favourite brands, from Una Healy, Tommy Bow and Echo, to Kate Appleby, Marcosi and Skechers, plus many more. Shop LK and One for All gift cards are gratefully accepted in store. Green Shoes in Letterkenny at Market Square and Letterkenny Shopping Centre, Fulcara, and online at greenshoes.com. Green Shoes, with the perfect fit for every foot.
farming through the heat wave. This week's Irish Farmers Journal has essential advice for all farmers. For more, here's Paul Mooney.
Find out the steps your farm can take to prevent heat stress in animals and other heat-related issues. We've the key dates you need to know for the new Acres Farm Payment Scheme. Banks warn that new nitrates rules could reduce farmer lending. And farmers revolt across Europe amid rising input costs and climate targets.
This week's Irish Farmers Journal, more than ever. You cannot afford to miss it.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Is your bank leaving town? Letterkenny Credit Union is now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard, bringing full banking features with no appointment necessary to open your account.
A lot of people contacting us with regards to public toilets in Buncrana and elsewhere as well. We heard from Patrick earlier about the public toilets in Buncrana. He was less than happy with the state he found those toilets in on Tuesday of this week when he was visiting Buncrana. Joined on the line by Dara, who many years ago had a summer job doing just what Patrick was demanding, cleaning those toilets. Dara, good morning.
How you doing, Donal? Are you well?
Very well indeed, thank you. Great to have you on the show. You're going right back, Dara, to a time when you were a student and your job was those toilets.
He used to be, there was a town clerk in Buncrana called Paul Doyle at the time.
Remember him well.
He was the next door neighbour. He was my mammy's next door neighbour, so he got me a part summer job in there. And my job was to clean those toilets 3 or 4 times a day for the whole summer. And I did it. And to be honest, Donal, it's a brilliant job because you got to hang around the beach the whole summer and all you had to do is do a bit of cleaning during the day, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So it wouldn't take much to get back to that. The problem seems to be that when they get out of hand, those toilets, it's a big job to clean them then. But if you're there keeping an eye on them and all that there, it's not a big job, you know. So really, you know, I think this is the second or third time somebody's been on Highland about those toilets in Buncrana. And, you know, I'm really amazed to hear that the problem hasn't been solved yet. And I suppose on behalf of the people of Buncrana, I would like to apologise to Patrick and people like that who have to come and endure something like that. You know, I think it's a bigger problem. It's not just Buncrana; it seems to be everywhere. But
and certainly, Buncrana is not the only area we're getting complaints about. I will have to acknowledge that absolutely. You made an interesting point there. You referenced Paul Doyle. I well remember covering meetings of the old Buncrana Urban District Council, and Paul as town clerk back in the day. And you know, the point you made was that Paul Doyle, the town clerk, asked you to do a job and you did the job and it was all done through Buncrana Urban District Council. Now we don't have an Urban District Council. We have a municipal district which is based in Carndonagh, covers the whole of Inishowen, but it has to report back to the wider council structure in Lifford in order to validate any decisions. And maybe the fact that we don't have that local management is part of the issue here.
Definitely. I think the attention to detail is gone. You know, for something to be mentioned on a station as popular as Highland and for the problem still not to be solved, you know, it's not a big job for somebody to get on the phone and phone Nicholas Crossan or Rena Donaghy or Jack Murray and say, you know, get me 2 students that can split that work 7 days a week and we'd have it solved in a week. You know, they'd go down and pay them a couple of €100 or €300 every week for doing it and they'll have the money and then the problem's solved, you know. But things like that don't seem to happen because the urban is gone. You know, it's, I don't know, maybe it's the attention to detail is not there.
Yeah.
Right,
well, I want to go to line 2 because on line 2 is someone you, I'm sure, will know. Dara. Gerard Porter is the Vice Chair of the Buncrana Tidy Towns Committee. Gerard, good morning.
Hello, Donal. Yeah, I'm on now just to support that man, Patrick, too. Hello, Dara. How's it going? I raised this issue with Greg last month, so I did, about these public toilets. And Buncrana Tidy Towns has been raising this issue about the public toilets for years now. This isn't just an issue this year. We raised this issue last year as well. The councillors even mentioned it in one of their meetings last April 2021. Mm-hmm. And we're just being let down. Buncrana has been let down by this because people be aware of the amount of work that Buncrana Tidy Towns is doing. Our local gardening team with the lovely pollinator areas and all that there. And just to let the people know that we were out on Saturday morning cleaning, we were out on Sunday morning cleaning, we were out on Monday night cleaning. All voluntary work. And we can't even get the smallest thing, the toilets cleaned. We are being let down here by their council. We are being let down by our local councillors. They're well aware of this issue. Get out there and get the council to get somebody down there and get them toilets cleaned or close the toilets. One or the other. But don't be letting the people of Buncrana have to go through this, and visitors and all that. You probably can tell from my voice, Donal, we are so angry in Buncrana tidy towns about this issue. There's no point in us going out and keeping everywhere else clean, and then people going to the toilets. That's twice now. Last month, somebody had to come on, a visitor, and give out on Highland Radio about the toilets in Buncrana. Now this month again. When is it going to stop?
Yeah. And in fairness to Patrick was very complimentary about the state of everything else. He actually specifically referenced the pollinator programme because the way he described it was the way they're leaving the area for the bees. And he was very complimentary about the way the town was run. And, he described Buncrana and the way it looked as majestic. But the outlier, the fly in the ointment, the elephant in the room is those toilets.
Yes, we've elected members here in Buncrana, and I'm going to target them now. They are getting paid taxpayers' money. They're getting voted on. Get and do your job. Get the toilets cleaned. You know who the man is responsible for them toilets. We in Tidy Towns have contacted him numerous times. I'm not going to mention his name on air, but he knows who he is, and he's not taking his responsibility of these toilets seriously. So he's not.
Dara, you wanted to come back in there?
I was just going to say, Donal, that it's something you see the Tidy Towns people. I want to really commend them as well, because I watch them day and night out around cleaning the streets, and they do a great job in town. But going back to toilets, it's something that I feel that strongly about, and somebody gave me a chance all those years ago that I would be willing to co-sponsor part of the wages for somebody for the summer if they wanted to do something like that. They put it up to the council and see if they would do it. And I have to say, it's a sad state of affairs if the people of Buncrana have to come and pay the wages of somebody to clean the toilets that belong to the council. But I would be willing to do it because that's how strongly I feel about the tourism in this town and attracting people to the town. So if you could put that out there maybe and put it up to the council and see what they're going to do and see if that would help.
Right, well, Dara and Jared, thank you both very much indeed for your contributions there. I mean, it's a clear challenge, and Jared, in fairness, you haven't pulled punches. You've put a clear challenge out there, and we'll see if you get a response.
And Donal, can I just say thank you there to Dara for making that offer now, and the councillors, it's up to you now to get this sorted.
Okay, look, Dara and Jared, thank you very much indeed, and thank you to Patrick who spoke to us earlier. Hopefully that's got a conversation going, and hopefully we'll see some progress as a result.
Summer sale now on at Floored Letterkenny. Up to 30% off selected lines of engineered and laminate flooring. But hurry, this summer sale will not last forever. Call into our showroom today and avail of the fantastic offers, or view our stock at floored.ie. Offers only while stocks last.
Since she got her free hearing aids with her PRSI at Specsavers, Roisin is a changed woman. Music has never sounded better, and that makes her dance. And dance. And dance. Her singing, though, well...
Free hearing aids with PRSI at Specsavers. Music to your ears. Find out more online. Terms and conditions apply.
Breedon's Furniture, Cooley-Maville. With over 40 years of experience in furniture and floor coverings, they've got Irish-made furniture, suites, beds, mattresses, dining, flooring, slide robes and occasional furniture. Great prices and large selection now available at Breedon's Home Furnitures, Cooley-Maville.
Leisureland Redcastle, open every day from 12 to 6. Fantastic for family day trips. Excellent value for birthday party packages. For a wonderful family experience this weekend, check out leisurelandredcastle.ie.
The big Salento summer sale is now on, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Shop all your favourite brands in men's, women's and kids fashion at unbeatable prices. And just in time for the holiday season, look good, feel good and save money at Salento Strabane. Don't miss it. Euro rate 85 pence and free parking at Salento.
Your specialty is quality tiles, bathroom suites and wooden floors. Who is the best range of tiles in Donegal?
Crawford Tiles.
The best wood flooring?
Crawford Tiles.
The best bathroom suites?
Crawford Tiles.
5-day bathroom refits?
Crawford Tiles.
And who's been tampering with my questions?
That'll be me.
Crawford Tiles, Castlefin. That'll be them. 07491 43942.
The 9 till noon show with Letterkenny Credit Union. Now offering MyCU current account and debit MasterCard. Bringing full banking features. Delivered with the same local trustworthy service of your credit union.
Let's catch up with some of your comments. Caller says at least Buncrana has public toilets. Letterkenny Retail Park has none. In this day and age, it's a disgrace. Another caller says, as I'm aware, the Bonaghy link is in the 10T plan to link up with the new road. Councillors never mentioned this. I'm not sure. There is a wider plan that will include the Bonnicky Link. I'm not sure that the Bonnicky Link is part of the 10T. Let me look at the plans again when I get a chance. I don't think the link is part of the specific 10T plan, but it's part of a wider plan under the Ireland 2040 programme. But I don't believe, I may be wrong, and if I'm wrong, as I say, I'll hold my hand up, but I don't believe the Bonnicky Link is part of the 10T specifically. Caller says, don't put traffic lights on the roundabout, it causes more congestion. The problem with the Polestar is the roundabout on Remelton Road, as it causes backup. The traffic management in Letterkenny is a disgrace. It's the worst town in Ireland. So says a caller in Carrigart. Now, at last, a sensible person looking at lights at the Polestar. Give everyone a chance to move, please. The world uses them, but not the Irish. So two very competing views there on that. Another caller saying, can traffic lights be placed at the roundabout at the Old Duns? It's so incredibly dangerous. And I have to say, that's one of the more difficult junctions in town at the moment, actually, particularly in the evening rush hour. And part of the problem is that sometimes people just don't seem to know there's a roundabout there, for a start. And it's still and we have had conversations actually about that specific roundabout, and also I think about the roundabout up at the other junction close to the Tintai and what would have been FBD. And there's been discussions about that one too, but I mean, that roundabout at Old Duns, absolutely, I actually do agree. It's actually, a lot of people don't realise it's a roundabout and quite know how to handle it. Again, yes, the Duns one. Another caller saying the Bonnicky Link is something that won't be up and running until the 2030s. The widening of the Leck Road would solve Letterkenny's traffic problems literally overnight. It possibly would, but there are homes on the Leck Road, there are businesses on the Leck Road, and I think if you were to look at widening the Leck Road, and there are elements of that in the 10T, that would be a huge, huge programme, and it would not be easily done because there are certainly houses and residents on both sides of that road, not to mention the fact that you have the graveyard and everything else and the people travelling to the graveyard. So the Leck Road would present its own issues and would open up a whole new debate. Perhaps it's a debate we need to have, but it would open up a whole new debate. With regards to the M50, caller says, I was on it 2 weeks ago and prepaid for 2 trips before I left. It's now $3.20 for the M50. So $3.20 now for the M50. And as I said, I do know it's €2 in cash for the M1. So it's $3.20 for the M50 now. As I've said before, I actually have one of those video accounts with eFlow. So my car, my wife's car, my daughter's car are all linked into this one account. So the money just gets taken out of our bank account, and it's a few euro, but not a few euro, it's a few cent less because we pay automatically on this sort of eFlow account. Now, let's go to line one. A lot of talk about people relocating back to Donegal, and that increased over the course of COVID and the increased prevalence given to working from home. FRS Recruitment is calling on people in the county to share their home truths, and this is for a new campaign aimed at the Irish abroad who may be considering moving back home. And from FRS Recruitment, good morning, Colin Donnery.
How you doing, Greg?
This is Donal, Colin. Greg's taking a well-deserved rest. Colin, the sort of information you're looking for on this campaign, I mean, people always talk about the big things, the scenery, the Slieve Leagues, the Donegal airports. Maybe what you're looking for is the small things. Where to get a good cup of coffee? Where to get a really good value meal? Where is there a really good bookshop?
Yeah, so look, we've been trying to attract people home from abroad, Irish people home from abroad for many years, but since 2019 we've had a partnership with GAA Go, the streaming service for GAA. It's a partnership between them and RTE, and we have the advertising sort of rights in the middle of it, so pushing out messages to try and get people home. So I suppose you just mentioned before there about COVID. So what happened is our campaign started 2019. A lot of people coming back pre-COVID. COVID stopped that happening. Really, I think you just couldn't move about, obviously. And then as the restrictions have lifted, we're getting an awful lot of inquiries from people looking to come back to Ireland, and they're asking us, I suppose the usual, look, we can give them lots of information around sort of the jobs, the salaries, etc., and to a certain degree accommodation. We can do a bit of research. But they're really trying to tap into local communities. And as you mentioned, like a lot of people, normally what used to happen, I suppose first port of call would have been Dublin, even if you were from Donegal or Leitrim or Sligo, you would look at, Dublin first because there's more jobs there. But with the advent of remote working, we're seeing people really tap into more local, and looking to move into particular regional areas and commuting to a job maybe 1 day a week, 2 days a week. That's not too far away.
So really, in terms of the sort of home truths you're looking for, you're trying to build up a profile that you can present, and people can say, well, I was half thinking of moving, we'll say for the sake of argument, to Kilmacrennan, but are there facilities nearby? Is there childcare available? Is there somewhere my child can go to play? Stuff like that. So it's really, they're not small things, because when you need access to a playground or access to a creche, that's not a small thing. That's a very big thing. But
totally,
there's things that will be important on a day-to-day basis. We all know about the scenery. We all know about the big things. But it's these day-to-day facilities and day-to-day amenities that we really want to gather together.
Yeah, so it's like positives and negatives, right? So, you mentioned the small things there. Like, look, one of the biggest things, if you're bringing a family back, which what happens is, it's one of the key things that happen when people move to the Middle East, Australia, America. They, get into a relationship and maybe have a couple of kids or one child, and they're going, should I bring them up as Australian, or, should I bring them back to Ireland? And it's really critical for them, the sort of school situation, one. And then you say amenity, is there a swimming pool close by? How close are we to the sea, beach, things like playgrounds? And what's just the social area and the social fabric like? So, there's only really locals can give you that sort of insight, and that's what we're asking them to go to frshhometruths.com, the website, and put in there. And then we're going to gather the information for each area and then send it back to people, so.
Right. Well, I mean, for instance, I know I'm going to get in contact, and I know what I'm going to say. I'm going to point out that there's two really good music, a really great musical society and a great drama society in Letterkenny. So if people are interested in things like amateur dramatics, stuff like that, which is what I would be interested in, to let them know that, yeah, there are absolutely opportunities available in several areas around the county to get involved in things like that. And, that could be the sort of thing that proves to be a deal breaker in terms of people making their decision.
Oh, totally. And I think, look, we all know the stuff about, accommodation. It's expensive. It's hard to get, and what people tend to do, we help them with this and FRS with that sort of stuff in terms of the research. But a really good points, sort of hobbies and that type of thing. What can they get into? Look, if they've been in Australia and been surfing, obviously Donegal has become one of the surf capitals of Europe nearly at this stage, up in, around Bundoran and those sort of areas, are really are attractive, So it's like people, work-life balance has just become so important to people now, and what they're going to do outside of work is as important as the job itself now.
Colin, it's been great speaking to you, and it's a very important initiative. And if people want to make contact with you, how can they get their home truths to you?
Yeah, so if they go to the website www.frshhometruths.com or our own website frsrecruitment.com, they can see vacancies there up in Donegal, and they can go in and do the home truths things as well.
Colin, thank you very much indeed for speaking to us this morning.
Thanks a million.
That's Colin from FRS Recruitment, and frshhometruths.com is the website. If you have any advice that you wish to offer, if someone is looking to move to your area, where can they get a good cup of coffee? What amenities are there in the area? What might, make your area attractive to someone with a family? Very interesting questions. A few comments before we go. Tell the Minister, we spoke to Simon Coveney, the Minister, earlier about the new action plan for the Defence Forces. Tell the Minister we will never join NATO. It will be the light end of the wedge. They don't want a civil war in Ireland. Don't try to put up a case for it. In fairness, the Minister didn't. When I asked him, was this a precursor to potentially joining NATO, he said the answer to that is no. A number of more toilets. I rang the Tourist Council about the state of toilets in Dunfanaghy. There's a rusted dryer that doesn't work. The one at the beach in Fanet had a portaloo that was totally blocked with no flushing facility. I thought it was a local number. It turned out to be a central number. I was directed to call the local council. Surely the tourism authorities would want these facilities to be up to scratch. Another caller on the issue of portaloos, which are in some areas. Those portaloos are awful. I got locked in one last week, couldn't get the door open, had to break out through the roof with a crutch someone had left behind in the toilet. I'm going to say that again. I had to break through the roof with a crutch somebody had left in the toilet. Right. Another caller says, and an important thing to say here, good morning, Donal, a mention of congratulations, please, to Conor Rogers of Convoy, who last night was chosen as the new Lord of the Dance. Conor is only the third Lord of the Dance chosen since Michael Flatley first took that show out 25 years ago, and that's congratulations to Conor from all his family and friends. And on that positive note, let's leave it for today. Back tomorrow, and really looking forward to it, because it means I get to do the Friday panel, and it means, even more interestingly, I get to do the entertainment slot with Michael and Fionnuala. Looking forward to that, and looking forward to your company. Thanks to all our contributors today. Thanks to you, our listeners today. Thanks to Donna Marie. Thanks to Caroline, who produced. And I wish you all a very good day.
Raymond Sweeney here from Ben Sweeney Aeronix to let you know about the Blomberg Integrated Dishwasher, which can save you time and money. When you're pressed for time, you can choose